fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Once a month, we return to the mountain for Panorama Drivers Club. It's a circuit that brings out so much passion and enthusiasm from Australian fans and Australian drivers, and then we've mixed the format with some of what you expect from VLN, some of the spirit of the Bathurst 6 Hour as well. 4 classes of car, single driver endurance event coming up in front of us here on SimSpeed TV. Can't wait to get into it. The drivers are in a bit of practice right now before we go to qualifying and then our 2-hour, 20-minute race. I'm David Haynes, and I am going to be joined today by a mental blank, and it's Nick Statu, who I normally have here for PDC. You got to do that once in a while, and I'm sorry to do it to you, Nick. But yeah, here we are, back a month since the last event. This is a recurring one, and we have a lot of recurring drivers here at Bathurst because everyone loves it so dearly.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Dave. We're just having a look at the map now. Just as you were saying too, yeah, quite a few familiar names, a few new ones as well. So especially in the TCR and the GT4 classes, we're just zooming in now in regional New South Wales. There's a train line out to Bathurst, so it's not too far on the sticks. 23 corners of Bathurst, very, very well-known track. Weather today, very nice, 26 degrees, 32 degrees on the track. So yeah, be seeing some pretty quick times out there.
And like any great circuit, like any circuit with a lot of history, most of the corners are known by their names and not their numbers. And as we say, 3 minutes left of qualifying here. Let's take a look at the cars that are going to be competing this event this afternoon. The fastest of them is our GT4 class, and in that category the drivers have their options. Here's Cameron Dance in the Porsche Cayman GT4 mid-engined, and not a bad looking livery there for Mr. Dance at the moment as well, really popping in the afternoon sun here. The other option in this class is the BMW M4 GT4. Jason Markowski is in that car. And while the speed is pretty equal between them, they are, with their differences, BMW being turbocharged and front-engined compared to, of course, the mid-engined Porsche Cayman. We go down to our we go to our TCR class next, which, of course, has the ever-reliable Audi RS3, and What can we say about that car that's not already been said on SimSpeed and on iRacing? Always very close racing, front wheel drive, touring car. You love to see it. People love racing it, and the racing's always very close with that car. We've got two other classes though, Nick.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we have the big thundering FR Mustang. So the Mustang 500, kind of similar in the turn. So our more of our entry level class, which is the MX5s, as we're just seeing Adam Burhoff here, just under the brakes. We do have generally the GT4 class and the TCRs run pretty close together, as we're just looking at Darren Shannon, so one of our bronze licensed drivers. So the MX5s are a bit of a favourite of mine. I love seeing them go around the mountain. You'll definitely see, the MX5s are over the top of the mountain. They usually kind of stick to the back of the Mustang, but on these big straights, especially this mountain straight in particular, you'll see the V8 Mustang really shoot past.
Yeah, you always feel like at the bottom of the mountain here with Conrod Straight, Mountain Straight, and the Pit Straight, the horsepower difference between the car classes is what really separates them. But across the top of the mountain is where great drivers shine. And certainly sometimes the slower classes can be quicker with a confident driver in some of those sections of the track than a faster car with a driver who just don't have the experience or the practice to really get close to the walls around this track. You can see the timer ticking down in the top left before we go to qualifying. It's going to be solo driver qualifying, 15 minutes. Each driver is going to have 4 flying laps to put in their best effort to set our grid for the race coming up. We are also in this series sort of it's a series of recurring events, but it's not a season. So we have drivers swap between cars, drivers move their license up, and we've also had a couple of those car changes, driver changes moving around since PDC 10 a month ago.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Dave. So we've got in the GT4 class, who's a kind of an early favourite at the moment, Cameron Dance, a previous winner for Tex Incense in the MX5s. We've had a few people move up. There's a few familiar names in the GT4 as well as the RS3. We've got our points overall leader of Cole Stevens, so winning the last 6 rounds of 6, which gives him a perfect score. So Cole Stevens will be definitely. Oh, sorry, James Foster will be one to watch. I got my names mixed around. To watch in the TCR as well. With the TCR as well, they generally always end up keeping on the same lap as the GT4. So you could potentially see a TCR win the overall, and I would not rule it out.
Certainly in some of the earlier PDCs, it was close to the case. Then the Audi lost just a little bit of performance, but still nonetheless, as we say, the good drivers can make the car shine, and confidence is key. So for that confidence, you need warm tires, and everyone in all of our classes is leaving the pit lane on quite a cold set of tires and trying to use this lap to get them warmed up, get them in the window. I caught someone in one of our American muscle Mustangs going for a bit of a loop on those cold tires. Very easy to do with the V8 horsepower you've got, and the, shall we say, lack of refinement maybe in the suspension geometry and the tires on that older Ford Mustang. But once they get warmed up, they're a little bit more compliant to drive. And with 4 flying laps, by the time they get to the end of their run, I'm sure a lot of our drivers are going to be right where they want them. Maybe don't expect the first flying lap to be their best.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And also looking in that Mustang drivers list at the moment, so there's actually quite a few of our pretty premier V8 supercars drivers who are exactly much like Clint Shane Smith, as we're just seeing going through the elbow onto the straight. So yeah, there's a few pretty good ring-ins that we're seeing of Brian Borg, Corey Shepherd, Clint Shane Smith, and a few others as well from the V8 Supercars E-Series. So Yeah, I reckon the Mustangs are probably going to be one of the most hotly contended classes today.
There we go. That's Nick's pick for our race. Michael Skurlock, does memory serve, he picked up the win in the BMW maybe 2 rounds ago. Can't remember exactly, but here he is in the BMW, definitely on a flying lap here. He's even going to get to use 6th gear, I think, in this car. What a privilege there. 7-speed gearbox from the road car in the BMW M4 GT4, and it's great to have that, road relevance in what is a factory turnkey race car, but the ratios from the road always translate to the track, and while you've got 7 gears, you often find drivers only using 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But here's got a bit of 2nd for Michael Skurlock coming out of Murray's there and to the line. Does that put a time on the board, or was that his outlap? With 15 minutes, the drivers certainly have the time to not need to rush out on track in this session. I feel like the track temperatures are actually climbing as we get deeper into this session and into the hottest part of the afternoon. So maybe you'd actually want to have been roaring ready to go at the gate when the green flag was shown.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Dave. And a pretty generous qualifying time as well. So it is given 15 minutes and 4 laps, so it's not more like we've seen in a few other series and stuff with the 2 laps. So you got to quickly get out and get it done. As we're just catching Cameron Dance come down the mountain now. You really want to try and get a lap in, not scuff the wall and not get an invalid lap. We have seen, 2 hours and 20 minutes is quite a lot of time. So we have seen people, I think in the Mustang class last time as well, come from the back of the field. So. But you're just making a job harder for yourself, so it's always good to start from the front where you can.
Yeah, this is a series definitely set up to benefit the gentleman drivers, the passionate drivers, and those who just love this circuit. So we have the potential for safety cars, virtual safety cars in the race. We have fast repairs for the race. That certainly means that in the first half of the race, you can have a mistake, have a problem, and get your car repaired, maybe be allowed to catch the pack, and from there, your fate and your destiny is in your hands. We have flying laps coming along now, being added to the board. Cameron Dance goes to the top there. Fulton Penny, 2nd in that GT4 class. Also a handful of TCR times there. It's an all James-looking front row in TCR for the minute.
Yeah, that's it. So it's James Foster again, pretty strong. When we did speak to him after the race last month, he does enjoy being in the TCR, and yeah, that really shows because he does definitely puts in the time. As someone else that puts in the time, Simon Mazzomo, he's advancing up to the TCR class this afternoon. So expecting to see pretty big things from Mazzomo, looking pretty strong at the moment. He's currently, where is he sitting?
He's currently sitting no time.
So he's not sitting anywhere at the moment, but I'm expecting to see a pretty strong lap here from Simon.
I'm expecting to see brilliance or a questionable performance and nowhere in between from our friend Simon Mazzomo, but he definitely is familiar with the TCR car. Definitely part of a team that would have some knowledge as well to draw on. And Fitzsty have done some interesting things in this series and been quite dominant in that sport class with the MX-5, but here they are, spreading their wings a little bit into some different categories, and it's looking good for Cameron Dance so far. But what about Simon Mazzomo? He's going to go to 3rd in class with his first flying lap, and I reiterate, it's almost always the case with the TCR cars that they keep getting faster for a couple of laps as the tyres warm up, especially those rear tyres. That is the talking point that always comes up with the TCR cars, that they go quick once they've got rear tire temperature, but it is difficult to get any in a front wheel drive car. Fulton Penny in a Porsche Cayman. and rocking a handful of the series sponsors on the car there as well. And I'm not going to say that's the cause for going to second in class, but not going to hurt. So the confidence, the tyre temperature, the speed building up for Fulton Penny, who goes to second and within 1 second of Cameron Dance's time at the top. But more times are going to continue to trickle in through this session.
Yeah, that's right, Dave. And just doing a bit of homework at the moment. So we are starting in the early afternoon. It will get dark, but it won't be pitch black. So we'll be running pretty late into the afternoon, more so into the evening. One thing to note as well, so there's always a few little changes here just to keep that strategy a little bit mixed up. So there will be a 60% fuel limit on all the cars. So whereas we usually see the GT4 and the TCR pick quite a lot throughout the race, and fuel was a factor in the race last month, the American Muscle and the Sport class will be limited to 60%, so they will not be able to get away with their one-stop strategy like we've seen in the past 9.
Probably a good thing, just to spice the action up. Not a good thing for Andre Cortes. That is a bit of a Bo Albert move there, if I'm honest. And maybe Andre pulled it off better as well. That is not how you want to go about it there. Just struggling with the rear grip, lighting up those rear tyres, coming through Griffin's Bend there. But another driver in the same class, Clint Shane Smith, also without a time on board. We'll come back to him maybe later. Here's James Foster, head of his class and about to complete his 3rd flying lap. Is this maybe a cool down lap between hot laps, or has he been on the money with this one? He's on it. He improves by a handful of tenths there to go to a 218.6.
Almost a second clear, Dave, of the rest of the TCR field. So James Foster again flexes in his muscles and showing how strong he is behind the wheel of that Audi TCR.
Back with Clint Shane Smith, seeing how he's going to get a lap on the board here. Currently, there is none for him. He comes to the line, and it will put him second in class, only 2 tenths away from the current best time, which is Adam Burhop in that class. So keeping his, well, I think there was actually a problem on his first timed lap for Clint Shane Smith. So the second one, he's got a clean and good time in there, and he's got 2 more flying laps to see what he can do in the American Muscle class, which for some reason is the most popular this weekend. As Cameron Stubber goes to the top of GT4. We had an all James front row for TCR. Now it's all Cameron for GT4 there. Yeah,
that's it. And we're just seeing a bit of Brian Borg as well. Great work there from Cameron Stubber. I think that's a new paint for this for this month. It's usually, I think it looked slightly different as we see Brian Borg cross the line into 3rd place. So yeah, that American Muscle class pretty tight at the moment across the top 5 there.
Some of that might come down to there's not as much setup adjustment you can make in that Mustang compared to maybe in the GT4 or the TCR. You just sort of got a knack for it and drive it, or you don't.
Yeah.
If you had a point to add to that one, I'd love to hear it.
Sorry, we just saw Aaron Stanley. So as you mentioned before with the Fitzy Texans team, Aaron Stanley with a pretty big weight, almost the weight of an MX-5 sitting on his shoulders, with wanting to finish first, and they will make 4 wins for the sport class for Fitzy Texans in the last 4 races actually, with 4 different drivers, as we see James Foster boarding. So looks like he's done the job of getting that on pole as we see Cameron Dance.
Yeah, 4 laps completed for James Foster, and his last one was not an improvement. So that might be interesting to see a bit of a drop-off in that class. Dance wants pole, and he's going to get it by just over a tenth of a second. So 215.7 for Dance, 215.8 for Cameron Stubber. But can Michael Skurlock spoil the party? It has seemed like the more straight line speed for the BMW, but the Cayman across a single lap is slightly faster, but then a bit hamstrung in the race conditions because it struggles to get past the BMWs. So Skurlock looking for fourth in class, the best he can do, but maybe in the race, the BMW will be a little better.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're just seeing Josh Madder now come through Forest Elbow, so hasn't put too much of a strong time up on the board. Hopefully he can make a bit more of a run now with his bit warmer tyres here for Josh Maynard. So we've seen quite a few flow-on drivers from the Hard and Fast series. So I know Cameron Stubber and Michael Skurlock raced the Hard and Fast series, so it's great seeing the flexibility of some of these drivers. So going from the full drive rallycross cars out to the circuit.
Danson Mizomo also in that one and racing with us here today. So you exactly put the nail on the head. Bit of crossover, but I can't think of sort of two more opposing philosophies for the race.
Actually, I can think of one that's slightly more opposing. So Cameron Dance so strong in the sprint car, in the Australian Sprint Car Series as well. So not only can slide it around on a tiny dirt track, but can slide his Porsche around Bathurst. So yeah. And he won the Skip Barbers as well. So if it's got wheels and a steering wheel, you know Cameron Dance is going to be near the front.
There we go. So just a couple cars left out on track at the dying minute of this session. Got Darren Shannon currently with the last qualifying time in the sport class, but real confidence over the curb there, and is going to get to the line to finish this lap, I would imagine, in the remaining 30 seconds. Andre Cortes is also out there, but I don't think he's going to be able to complete the lap that he's on. So let's look for Shannon finishing the last of his 4 laps. And it is an improvement, a big one, from 5th to 2nd in class there. So Darren Shannon finding something on the final lap of his qualifying to move to the front row of the sport class. Time is going to run out on qualifying. We're going to look at what our grid looks like for PDC 11.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Dave. We'll see Aaron Stanley almost 3.5 seconds clear as I'll let you read out from the start.
Yep, so here is our grid on pole position in the GT4 class, Cameron Dance, and then alongside him, Cameron Stubber. Got Fulton Penny, Michael Skurlock, and Jason Markowski, the 5 able to qualify in front of your TCR pole sitter, who is James Foster. Get used to that name at the head of that class, I would say. Dean Ross in 2nd, though. Simon Mizomo 3rd. James Ruwalt in 4th in class. Carl Ruwalt alongside there in 5th. Further down the TCR order we go for Grant Matterford, Kyle Stevens, and Joshua Maynard. The other 2 classes, run us through them, please, Nick.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got Adam Burhop, a return for the Mustang 500s. Clint Shane Smith, Brian Borg, and Corey Shepard. Jonathan Ben and Aston Hurley on row 10. Andre Cortez and Tyler Bish. So in the sport class, Aaron Stanley so dominant against Darren Shannon. On the 2nd row for the sport class, Scott Griffiths, David Johnson, and Tommy Martin rounding out the field.
Yep. And no qualifying time there for Matt Farrar, but you do see a huge gap there in sport class, but very competitive in our other 3 categories. All of our field lining up behind the Porsche safety car, and it might not be the only time we see that safety car in today's 2-hour, 20-minute race. Forget that graphic. It's 2 minutes past 3 in the afternoon in sim time. Getting pretty close to reality on the eastern seaboard of Australia, only out by a couple of minutes there. So they are going to roll. We're going to get racing 2 hours, 20 minutes, pit stops, 2 of them, I would say, expected in all of our classes at a minimum. Single driver event. We are getting ready for everyone's favorite time at Bathurst, the start of the race.
I was going to say, Dave, it's almost that time in Perth at the moment.
Not quite, but close enough. So 2 Camerons on the front row for GT4. Safety car is in. Cameron Dance keeps them held through the final corner before he puts the power down, and he gets a great run, and so too does the entire left-hand side of the grid for GT4. So Fulton Penny takes the initiative to jump up into second place as, just believe us, the paints are going to pop in there. In TCR, pretty level start from everyone. No movers or shakers there. American Muscle. Adam Burhop leading that field away. And Clint Shane Smith might have done a bit of a good jump there. And no surprises in sport class to see Aaron Stanley with a good jump. Cold tyres for everyone, Nick. They need to be careful on this first flying lap.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And there's pretty strong stipulations with from race control to not jump the gun too much. They want to get all these classes nice and spread out before people really start hooking into each other, as we're just looking back from the back of Cameron Dance at Fulton Penny at the moment. So that worm paint on that Porsche is unbelievable. They've done such a good job of that.
Yeah, so Fulton Penny doing a great job to come with the leader off the start here. Cameron Stubber also in the picture, and don't count out Michael Skurlock. Adam Burhop leading American Muscle. Brian Borg, Clint Shane Smith, Corey Shepard there, and Smith has lost one spot to Brian Borg, who has had a bit of a lightning start.
Yeah, I was just watching some of the images off screen, and we just caught it. One of those GT4 cars has slid right off the back of that group, and is stuck in the middle of TCR at the moment. But I'm sure he'll make those spots back as they come down the Conrod Straight.
Yep, so GT4 cars often struggle harder on the cold tyres than the TCR cars do. And so this is what happened for Michael Plonis here. He was getting swamped by all of the TCR cars, and he might have also brushed the barrier in a couple places. Hard in the mouth stuff with the TCR leader there, as the GT4 car of Michael Plonis scrapes into the barrier right in front of him on the race start.
Yeah, James Foster, I think his heart would have jumped a bit as you could see that BMW ricocheting off that barrier there. See him bounce. Whoa. Almost, you definitely don't want, if you're James Foster, you don't want your race ending on halfway through the first lap, so pretty lucky there to get out of the way.
Yeah, sensible stuff from all of our drivers at the start. So TCR are running how they qualified, but at the head of the field in GT4, Fulton Penny is going for the lead. He's done a good job to follow on lap 1, use the slipstream up the hill on Mountain Straight into the inside of Griffin's Bend. Fulton Penny slides down the inside, parks it on the apex, and here comes Cameron Stubber coming for a look as well. So Cameron Dance is being swamped, very cautious in the opening laps of the race here. Fulton Penny and now Cameron Stubber through, and your pole sitter is back into third.
Yeah, that's right, and we've seen we've seen both Fulton Penny and Cameron Stubber. Cameron Stubber being quite often a leader of the Premier class, but I think he's missed out on the last couple of wins, unfortunately, due to a late race incident. So we'll be looking for a bit of redemption this afternoon with his blue Porsche, as he's on the back there of Fulton Penny, giving Fulton a bit of room there, about half a second between the two.
All problems once again for Michael Plonis amongst the TCR field, and he's now backwards at the top of the mountain. He's going to get it going though, so we're not going to get a safety car or a virtual safety car from that one. But once again, he was down a little bit and the hits kept coming amongst the TCR field. I don't know if he's made a mistake at the top of the mountain again, or maybe this time he got a bit of help, but that is definitely where the pace difference is between GT4 and TCR. TCR got less horsepower, but more aerodynamic grip, more downforce, more wings and splitters to have speed across the top of the hill here. And just one of our TCR drivers there might have been Carl Ruwalt, and I think it was, looking for a way past because he's got the angry rest of the pack behind him. He can't afford to lose time, and tiniest bit of contact with Michael Plonis, who was already, I think it's fair to say, struggling a little bit.
Yeah, I think Carl Ruwalt might have just tapped him. It did look like that BMW was pretty loaded up there on that right-hand side. It's a very fast part of the track, and it's actually a crest as well. So yeah, Carl Ruwalt, don't think there'll be any penalty for that. It did almost look like a racing incident. You could see Plonis was going into that left-hand crest a lot slower than Carl Ruwalt, so it looked like it was just an unfortunate tag then.
Yeah, you feel for both drivers, but it's tough to find a way to see that Carl Ruwalt meant to do that or was reckless. There's a bit of flash of headlights from brake lights from Kyle Stevens there, and I think he's was it Kyle Stevens? I think it was. I think he's letting James Ruwalt through here. They don't want to lose touch with that pack in front. TCR cars often do race in a pack. Michael Plonis on pit lane, not a surprise, I would not think.
Yeah, so Michael Plonis in, thankfully not needing a tow because that would have potentially brought out that safety car. So there's pretty strong rules here at the moment. You can't just pull a tow whenever you like. You need to request a tow and have it granted too. So kudos there to Michael Plonis to not only rejoin the circuit in a safe manner, but also not needing a tow.
Looking pretty interesting in GT4 though, because Fulton Penny was almost broken out a second, broken some of the toe to Cameron Stubber. Stubber is doggedly staying with him. Pole sitter Cam Dance in third, but Michael Skurlock and Jason Markowski still in the picture as well. So our top five, well, you can see them in one shot here at points, about 3 seconds to cover all 5 of them. And it almost looked like Dance was trying to break the toe to Skurlock more than he was trying to stick with first and second.
Yeah, well, Cam being pretty experienced driver, it might be a little bit of strategy there. So, yeah, really hoping to see some really good battles in GT4. We've been a little bit unfortunate with GT4 being a lot smaller class than TCR. We haven't seen some of the battles that we've been hoping to see, but with such big name drivers in this class this afternoon, I'm hoping to see a really good battle.
Oh, from the onboard, I can definitely see a little bit of lift and coast for Cam Dance. I wonder if he's planning something. But in TCR, too wide, too deep, the action continues as, charging his way up through the field comes James Ruwalt. Saw him get past Carl Stevens earlier. He's gotten past Grant Matterford and now past what I'm going to assume is a relation in Carl Ruwalt. So James Ruwalt from, I think, about 7th to 4th in the one lap we weren't quite looking at him. So big moves up through the field from someone who we know is quite pacey in these cars.
Yeah, James Ruwalt being a bit of a podium finisher in the TCR class over the last couple of races, so he's generally always pretty strong. So with his brother or his cousin or potentially a distant relative on his back bumper, we could see the Ruwalt twins really move forward in the TCR and potentially, hopefully strong enough to put a challenge to James Foster.
And you can never rule out a good father-son combination at Bathurst either. So who knows? But the fact of the matter is Ruwalt, James, who I think might have had a poor first lap, charging up with a lot of speed. Here at the lead, though, that nearly 1 second Fulton Penny had starting to evaporate as Cameron Stubber is exactly where he'd want to be, following along in the draft, and the gains from Fulton Penny. But Stubber closes in with that draft down Long Conrod Straight.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You'll find generally for the first half an hour or so, it will be almost like a sprint race, everyone trying to vie for the track position. But as they start to settle in, it'll all come down to when the pit stop strategies come through and people just tapping out those lap times and trying to keep it consistent.
Yeah, and it's easy now, but it won't be too long, and it's never too long before the GT4 leaders start catching sport class cars, start catching American muscle, and then it becomes yet more interesting. Here is a cracking little scrap. Matterford, Carl Ruwalt, and Kyle Stevens. And Kyle Stevens gets boxed out there as he was trying to make a move on Carl Ruwalt.
Yeah, some pretty aggressive maneuvers there early on. It does look like for Matterford, he felt like he did have the pace, so not wanting to stick in the back of that pack there, pushing all the way to the front so he can put a bit of a chase in now into Mazomo, Maynard, and Mazomo and Dean Ross.
Yeah, so a bit of spread for our top three in TCR there. But the battles continue further on in American Muscle. Adam Burhop's getting away in the lead, but Borg and Smith quite close through Hell Corner there.
Yeah, both Borgie and Clinchland Smith we've seen some pretty spectacular battles in a few of the other races we've seen on the iRacing services. We're just seeing Clinchland Smith just showing a nose there, so it looks like he's going to get that done. Those Mustangs absolutely thundering up the mountain straight there. Oh, running it nice and wide there into the curb, so pretty clean pass there by Clinchland Smith.
Yeah, not far behind them, Corey Shepherd and Jonathan Benn as well. So, once we get towards the pit stops and all of that, definitely there could be some good battles in that class as well. Sport class, Aaron Stanley has built himself out more than 10 seconds of a gap over Scott Griffiths in second. But does look like Tommy Martin and David Johnson might be battling a little for fourth and fifth. Well, yeah, they're together as well. So something for everyone in all four classes, PDC 11.
Yeah, David Johnson being one of the more experienced drivers there in sport, as we've seen just with Fulton Penny now, just putting a little bit more time there into Cameron Stubber, so almost a second. Once he starts getting past that second mark, he will be breaking the draft there to Stubber. So, yeah, Stubber won't want to let him go far too up the road or he will lose that draft advantage.
On board with Brian Borg. Is he going to try and leapfrog his way back past Smith? He is not going to do so. Big roll out of the throttle, big lift and coast. So he's going to stay in third. So what do we make of the change of fuel tank size for American Muscle then? How is that going to affect the strategy if they're forced into 2 stops or maybe more?
Yeah, well, that's exactly right.
We'll have to come back to that thought. Fulton Penny has had a big moment. We're going to catch the modem simulation replay on this one. And it's dropped him out of the lead. This is what happened. He's pushing, trying to build that gap. And, parked Mazda in a very, very difficult spot. That is more inconvenient than places I've seen Mazdas parked at my local shopping centre.
And definitely not one to be picking up the lunch. It does look like he has, Tommy Martin has spun it there and, very lucky there. Oh, as we're just seeing Cameron Stubber just grazing the side there of that Mazda MX-5. So I don't think that'll be a bent steering arm for that. But, that was almost catastrophic consequences there as we are seeing the front of that field now of Cameron Stubber and Fulton Penny now threading their way through the MX-5s.
Yeah, this is the pucker cam from Cameron Stubber there, coming around the cutting. Car parked there. There was 95% of the width of a Porsche Cayman to the inside, and he had no other option but to go for it, and somehow just managed to squeeze his way on through. So Fulton Penny, though, has gotten back to the lead, and it's Fulton Penny, Cameron Stubber, Cam Dance, covered by under a second. And then the BMW's looming in the background, and we know sometimes the BMWs come on strong later in the stint. Maybe they are also sometimes a tiny bit better on the fuel, or you can manage the fuel better with them. So still would not count out Michael Skurlock, and I think he got his win in this championship by also managing the tyres a bit better in the BMW.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Dave. We did see. I was trying to remember who it was against with last month. So yeah, there was a huge speed difference between two of the GT4 cars in the closing moments, just from conserving those tyres. And as you were mentioning before as well, so with the American muscle class and the sport car class, with the 60% fuel restriction, you will have to, like, you can't just drive the car absolutely flat out and then just pit once and then drive flat out then for another hour. You've really got to be mindful of what you're doing and have a proper strategy lined up. Just seeing Skurlock come through, or most of the cars come through Forest Silver now, down that back straight there of Conrod Straight. Fulton Penny not really shaking Cameron Stubber at the moment, so still about half a second and then another half second to Cameron Dance.
Yep, the trio of Caymans almost flying in formation.
Just see Cameron Dance here, so strong under brakes, like almost on the back there of Cameron Stubber there. But yeah, all look like they're all holding pretty well. There is a bit of a gap now to Skurlock, so Skurlock was near the front of the field last week, and as we see on the back there of our lead MX-5 of Aaron Stanley, the trio of Porsches come through.
Yeah, it's a bigger speed difference than when I drove an MX-5 around some Porsches, but it goes to show our fastest class versus our next fastest class, the horsepower advantage that these GT4 sports cars have got. And that might have just boxed Fulton Penny backwards at the final corner at Murray's Corner for just a couple tenths of a second. It's let Stubber and Dance ride right with him. I think it's also helped Skurlock and Markovsky get a bit closer in the picture as well. So no huge issues early in the race for Fulton Penny, but the traffic does not always fall to your favour as the leader.
Yeah, probably the big winner out of that. Ironically as well, teammates too of Cameron Dance too, Aaron Stanley of Fitzy, did help him just bunch that little bit further up, and it has actually pulled Skurlock, pulled that gap in ever so slightly, but they'll be far enough back that they won't really get any draft advantage. So we'll see. That's all the sport car class done. So we'll see pretty soon. Fulton Penny will need to navigate his way through the American muscle car class.
Checking in with TCR, our second fastest class here. Still a bit of a battle going on, Ruwalt and Stevens. We saw Ruwalt putting up a robust defense at the chase a couple of laps ago. This is kind of our closest battle here. Swap of position between those Bimmers in GT4 has just happened though. Don't know what has caused Skurlock to drop behind Markovsky in that one. Both of them have lost a couple seconds on this lap as we watch rearwards from Ruwalt at Kyle Stevens. Let's enjoy this TCR actually for about half a lap here. Again, traffic has not necessarily favoured Ruwalt as much as it did for the pursuer. Here's our GT4 lead and they are going to be catching a Ford Mustang across the top of the mountain. Be sweaty palms potentially for Fulton Penny as he's going to try and dive down the inside, and everyone's going to be compromised across the top of the hill here. My goodness, how close they are this early in the race. Stubber right in behind Penny, and Dance biding his time as well.
Yeah, Fulton Penny was really hard on the brakes there to pull in behind that Mustang, so that's played right into Stubber's hand at the moment, and you can see Cameron Dance as well right on the back there, so that's pulled them all the way back through. So that was the first Rogue Mustang, so there's going to be a few more of them coming up.
And how much they lose can be where they catch the traffic as well. GT4 cars get a bit more grip coming off the corners, a bit more straight line speed. They're catching across the top of the hill. It's tough to get on by.
Yeah, about 260 k's there, so pretty quick there from these Porsche Caymans.
And then the Beamers also have another 5, 6, 7, maybe. In fact, yeah, I'm seeing 8 kilometers more for Jason Markowski than for Fulton Penny. So I think that does play into the BMW not quite as nimble, but certainly once it gets going in a straight line, it pulls well in a straight line. That bodes well. Whoa, it doesn't want to turn though. Absolutely wants to plow in hell corner there for Jason Markowski. So if he can fight that and he can stay close with the Porsches, then he has the straight line grunt to maybe get past and maybe fight with them. Here is a replay of Jason Markowski's farming equipment. So he tills the soil at turn 1 and plows very, very deep. I'm too much of a city boy to know what he might be planting if he's plowing that deep.
It was actually Markowski was putting in a bit of a run now into the well, as referred to now as the Porsche trio. So it did look like Skurlock seems to be struggling for pace. I'm not too sure what's going on there, but yeah, Markowski had pulled that gap into almost, I think it was about a second and a half into the 3 Porsches, but unfortunately that little mistake in Hell Corner did not look like much, but it almost cost him a second, so you'll have to work hard again to pull that time back.
Yeah, horrible lap for Markowski, Skurlock last time around, and I think the right rear wheel, I might be imagining things, but I think I'm seeing the bodywork is pushed in a little bit, or maybe just part of the livery is black above the rear wheel arches, and that's giving me a visual illusion, but something is definitely amiss for Skurlock, who is a previous race winner in this championship. He's now dropping back time and positions. Give us an update on what's going on with TCR here, though.
Yeah, so as we're seeing, Rewalt, Stevens, and a few of the others, so it does look like Rewalt's put in a little bit of a gap there, as I'm just bringing up the timing screen at the moment. So we've got, Foster to Ross to Mazzomo. So, Ross and Mazzomo, plenty of clear track between them at the moment. So, 4 and 10 seconds apiece, but those 3 have really pushed clear of the rest of the TCR field. TCR historically has been a pretty hotly contended one, so I do think that once we'll start seeing safety cars and once we start seeing some pit stops, we'll see everyone squeeze back in together as we see Rewalt and not Manifold. So Carl Rewalt and Kyle Stevens down the straight there with Josh Maynard just out of view. So it's quite curious seeing that the close racing now is a GT4 as we see Fulton Penny driving very defensively at the moment.
Yeah, that's what we always see at Griffin's Bend there, is the crown and camber of the road means you want to be on the inside. Fulton Penny was just parking his car middle of the road, just stopping Stubber from having a look.
You'd almost, if you're Stubber or Dance, like this is the perfect opportunity now. You're well within striking distance of the leader. You're almost pretty clear of Markowski, even though Markowski has Oh, he's just taken about another half a tenth out, so he's only 2 seconds behind this trio at the moment. But you'd have to say, if you're Stubber or Dance, you want to just sit in there, conserve fuel, because, yeah, this is where the race is going to be won. It's going to be won in the pits.
Yeah, certainly could be. You certainly could find yourself a handful of time. Ooh, action in the chase. David Johnson having to avoid the jump in his sport class car. So using all of the gravel trap there. And we're going to catch a replay of that one. Oh, that is your American muscle leader, Adam Burhop, who has helped him around there. One of these two drivers has misjudged the closing speeds. And, oh, my goodness, Burhop was trying to go down the inside. Johnson has maybe breezed across a little bit and blocked the line potentially. You'd kind of need to see it again here to know exactly what happened there, but that is a misjudgment of speed and positioning between Burhop and Johnson. Burhop skated across and shortcutted the corner, and you feel like Johnson has maybe picked up a bit of damage here.
Yeah, actually, I do believe Adam Burhop might be in the pits now, because we've just seen a change of lead now to Clint Shane Smith in the pits. So, yeah, pretty unfortunate there. It did look like Johnson was needing to yield with that blue flag, and Adam Burhop choosing to go to the right-hand side, but yeah, just not enough room. So possibly might be deemed a racing incident. We possibly might see a penalty out of that, but pretty unfortunate there for both losing quite a lot of time.
Yeah, not ideal for Burhop, who was also trying to break away in the lead of that class. It now means that Clint Smith and Brian Borg is a battle for the lead, and behind them at the moment, this is looking like a battle for the podium. Jonathan Ben, Corey Shepherd. I feel like since we last checked in with them, Jonathan Ben has actually moved in front of Shepherd as well. So maybe moving up the American muscle order a little bit for Jonathan Ben here.
Yeah, very good work there by Jonathan Ben, but we've seen again of Clint Shane Smith and Brian Borg pretty close together with only about 7 tenths between them. Just reading over the race control as well. So that incident between 4:12 and 3:06, which was the between Burhop, so that is deemed a racing incident. So there'll be no further action on that, Dave.
Yep, I see that race control judgment as well. Swift from them, and it's I think maybe the first thing they've had to issue something like that on this race, aside from lap 1 potentially. Yeah, there we go. It was not easy to look at it and say it was a mistake or a problem from either driver there. So I think race control probably made the right call. Bit of 50-50. Late move off the racing line to let them through, but also quite an aggressive move from someone who had the time in hand to give a little bit more caution and a little bit more space.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm just looking at that gap now between Dance and Markowski's. These Porsches aren't really pulling away from him at the moment, so it does look like Markowski is probably one of the faster. If I just have a look at the lap times at the moment. So, yeah, Markowski seems to be running around this. Oh, sorry. No, he is slightly faster than Stubber and Dance at the moment, so he is slightly reeling them in. Fulton Penny has pulled a bit of a gap now, so it's 2.5 seconds. So seems to have been caught Stubber sleeping at the wheel a little bit, Dave.
Yeah, and from one of the angles we looked, I think Stubber also has just the little tiniest scuffs and scrapes from, trying to force his way through the MX-5s there. So I don't know if maybe on the right-hand side that's also affecting him a tiny bit. Isn't fully factory on the front of Cameron Stubber's car. So Fulton Penny is enjoying, I think, the biggest gap any leader has had all race long in GT4. And trying to leave Stubber and Dance to battle a little bit.
Yeah, as we're seeing, big flash of lights there. So I think they're coming through.
Oh,
that is definitely not where you want to catch an MX-5. So pretty unfortunate there for both Stubber and Dance. So Fulton Penny getting the luck of the draw of that. So it's always going to be a bit of the throw of the dice, who they're going to catch you at what part of the circuit. So yeah, Fulton Penny, you can see, has pulled another second of a gap between to Stubber and Dance. So yeah, this lap traffic will always be a factor that you've always got to keep on your toes.
We've brought Jason Markowski to the battle as well, and from this onboard angle you can see the long legs that the BMW has. My goodness, is he just closed on Dance, and he thinks about going for it, but he doesn't have any crossover. He doesn't get the spot. But the speed at the end of Conrod Straight there for Jason Markowski, if he was a little bit closer at the top of the mountain, there's no way Dance could keep him behind. Some pit stops from American Muscle, though, as we've got the teammates, Smith and Shepard, pitting on the same lap. They're going to join the company of Adam Burhop, who's also made a pit stop. Or have I butchered that? I think I've got the wrong drivers in American Muscle.
No, that does look to be correct. So yeah, we've seen a few of the American Muscle cars come in very early. So they must be thinking that they're going to try their luck at maybe a safety car or something a little bit later on, not thinking that they'll be able to keep up with Brian Borg. So yeah, pretty strange strategy there. But look, a lot of those drivers are pretty new to this American Muscle class. So maybe trying a few risks, as we just see, yeah, Markowski there. I think it's Markowski, yeah, come through there on a sport class car. So some really good driving display there by Markowski, not wanting to risk too much with Cameron Dance. He was showing the nose a little bit, maybe just keeping Cameron Dance on his toes.
So I'm thinking, if it's an equal fuel limit in percentage terms to all classes, American Muscle is the class that's going to have to pit first. And that is what we are seeing from them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They must really use the fuel, because it's only been we've only been on track for half or just over half an hour at the moment.
Yeah, still seems like it's a little early. I think about an hour 10 is what you'd expect from, tiny bit more you'd expect from a full tank. So you go 60% of that, you'd expect them to have 35 to 40 minutes of, closer to 50 minutes of fuel, maybe even. So I'm not sure, but we've got plenty of time left in the race where we'll see the strategies emerge and have some kind of clue.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of time to dig that calculator out, that's for sure. I'm just carrying the one and dividing it by the amount of laps. But
do you normally do the numbers, or do you just follow the plans?
Yeah. Well, technically I'm a paid mathematician, so, but there we go. Just seeing Markowski again showing a nose there to Cameron Dance. So with American Muscle, there must be an overlap. So I think it must be either, because normally they would just, yeah, mate, it should be an hour 10. So they're trying to gain just a little bit of an overlap on a two-stop strategy.
Here comes Markowski, throws it in, ploughing, and whoa, just avoids the wall. If I'm honest with you, I think I saw that one happening when Markowski was so much deeper on the brakes down the inside of Cam Dance there. Yeah, we're going to get the replay of that one, and Markowski, a lot of straight line speed, but when it comes to throwing down the anchor and trying to make the ship change course, Dance was very, very wise to that one, I think.
Yeah, some pretty great experience shown there by Cameron Dance. So on that last, what's going to be a different story this lap, but on the last, it's Stubber, Dance, and Markowski all putting in almost identical time. So those three are pretty much on the same pace as we see Andre Cortez in the pits. Seeing a few of our American Muscle Mustangs with all right-hand side damage. So a lot of them seem to be going pretty hard there on these left-hand turns.
They probably drove past a crowd. But of course, I think part of it is the Mustang just dents a little easier than some others. Everyone is getting close to the walls across the top of the mountain. And then the other thing you notice is sort of the daytime running lights for the Mustang, the tiniest scrape, and they go out and you lose them. So that also becomes very, very noticeable. They build the, they build the old damage model of the TCR a little bit stronger. Pretty bulletproof, pretty tank-like for Kyle Stevens, who still cannot get on past Kyle Ruwalt.
That's exactly right. You'd almost think that those Mustangs are built asymmetric out of the factory with the amount of right-hand damage they seem to do here at the mountain. But Kyle Stevens. As we see our first GT4 class car in.
Yeah, here we go. From GT4, Cameron Dance. Rolling the dice, potentially? I guess we'll keep an eye on it, but Markovsky has finally been able to make the stamp stick. He's gotten past Fulton Penny, and I think part of the story is told by the damage on the front right of that Cayman. This was your leader.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a pit much like Cameron Dance, but it does look like he's either run it wide and run very close to that grass there.
It's just across the curb, tiny bit of grass, and then we've gone to slow motion here for Fulton Penny. So he's just been a bit ambitious. In the final corner, we're going to see it from on board. And then that was the lap that Dance went into pit lane. So Penny through Murray's here. Just got the car still loaded up as it bounced across quite that aggressive curb.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate spot to crash as well, just outside of pit lane. So he could have just maybe hooked it into the pits and try and regroup a little bit. But so Markowski and Stubber through on that. But look, it's early days yet, and we have seen cars that have had incidents like this before take out the win. So Penny's just got to get back into it and start chipping away again.
Oh, we've got a problem for Darren Shannon, and he has not blown the engine. He gets it going. If the car was parked there and he had killed it, that is the kind of thing that brings out a safety car. But Darren Shannon has kept going. Modem simulation replay towards Griffin's Bend. Oh, and Darren Shannon just pushes out wide. Finds the barrier on the outside and then on the inside. And I'm hearing that he has actually damaged the car more than he thought. Virtual safety car is imminent, and that'll benefit anyone who is near pit entry, like Fulton Penny.
Yeah, pretty wise decision there from Darren Shannon. He tried to continue on, but it did look like he had a pretty bent steering arm. There was quite a lot of damage there on the front of that MX-5. So requesting a tow. Hasn't towed out yet. Not too sure if he's managed to make it work. So he did request a tow there from
definitely did. Race control obliged to try and recover that car. Fulton Penny is going to be happy that he's got a pit stop done, completed, car fixed up, and still come out in front of Michael Skurlock, who has not pitted. Oh, that Mustang's going too fast, Brian Borg. Oh no, we've definitely seen people be pinged for driving too fast on a virtual safety car. If I was Borg, I'd park that one up for a bit. I'd give that time back.
A little bit excited coming out of the pit, so it does look like he's going to redress that amount of time. He must have been quite excited there to get out of the pits in front of everyone else, and has just in a quick flash has just nailed it a little bit, as we see Simon Mazzomo is going to be a big winner now into the pits under this virtual safety car.
Like the virtual safety cars in Formula One or Code 60s at the Nürburgring, everyone is going around at the pit lane speed limit right now, 50 kilometers an hour. So everyone who was on pit lane and took a pit stop or was around about there, like in F1, it's a cheap pit stop when you get to do yours and everyone else is not at racing speed. We'll wait for word on when this virtual safety car might end. But I think the thing here for Darren Shannon is at full racing speed and the amount of damage he's carrying, he wasn't going to be able to stay out of people's way at 100 kilometers an hour. But at 50 k's an hour, he's got it quite sturdy. But you got to wonder, would it have actually been quicker to tow from where he was than to drive it around at 50 kilometers an hour underneath the virtual safety car? Who knows? But this has definitely thrown some spice into GT4 and TCR, where we've seen a couple of drivers grab a pit stop while some others have not. One thing I want to point out for Fulton Penny, 17 seconds. I think he's taken the repair and topped off the tank, whereas Cameron Dance, 28 seconds when he made his green flag stop. Is that a tyre change for Dance, but fuel only for Fulton Penny?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that, as we just saw from, I think it was it Darren Shannon in that MX-5, so you could see the amount of steering lock there. So in, yeah, right where he is at the moment, I caused a massive accident under similar circumstances where I tried to limp the car back under full race pace. So kind of pretty wise there by Darren Shannon. His car does look pretty banged up at the moment, so if he did request a tow, he'd probably be there for probably about 5 or 10 minutes. You can see that steering angle as he's going down Conrod Straight. So
it just occurred to me that doing 50 kilometers an hour at this virtual safety car, our race cars are going slower than what the speed limit is when this is open as a public road at 60 kilometers an hour. So you could rock up outside of a race weekend in your public, when it's a public road, in your car and go faster than these guys are currently going under racing conditions. That's an interesting one to think about. But the virtual safety car is entering 3, 2, 1 about now. Everyone is going to get back up to speed. We're going to get racing once again. And Darren Shannon is going to get that onto pit road, to his pit box, and get it fixed.
there we go. So everyone's safe. Darren Shannon's back safe, as we're just seeing with Aaron Stanley. So like a pretty big lead at the moment. We'll just need to wait for the timing to update. So he's approximately about a minute and a half clear of Scott Griffiths. So yeah, the Fitzy car absolutely dominating the sport class cars. We've just seen Fulton Penny come through again. So Fulton Penny's definitely got the upper hand at the moment. He's got tyres. Oh, I actually didn't catch how long he's.
I think this is the point I was going for. I don't think Penny took tyres. I think Penny went only fuel, whereas Cam Dance at a green flag stop, I think did take tyres, and that's going to hurt because Fulton Penny now has made a pit stop, topped the tank off, and is more than a minute up the road from Cam Dance. Dance has taken that gamble, and at least compared to Fulton Penny, I think it stung him.
Yeah, it absolutely has. So you'd almost think that Cam Dance was trying to get that early overlap, thinking that it was going to, getting a feel for the race, seeing that it was being more or less a green flag for the past 40 minutes or so. So choosing to come in slightly early. So Fulton Penny, I think there's a few. No, sorry, they're the only two at the moment that have pitted in the GT4 class. So yeah, so Stubber, Markowski, both hung out to drive.
I tell you, trying to just dissect the strategy in TCR here, though, we saw a handful of those drivers be very near to pit in and take the opportunity. James Foster, your leader, either wasn't in a position or decided not to pit, as he's now getting held up by a damaged-looking car there, which is going to add insult to injury. Andre Cortez, a lot of damage. But to wrap up my point, Foster is only 10 seconds up the road from Dean Ross, who managed to get a full pit stop. Tyler Bish also with problems, so not a good time to be a Mustang.
Yeah, and we're seeing Tyler as well getting the tow out, so I think that must have been granted, or not too sure what's happened
I didn't
there.
hear it.
Actually, I didn't. Yeah. So, yeah, you can see that blown engine. So he wouldn't have been going anywhere. So, yeah, you can see so many of these Mustangs, not only with blown engines, but a lot of damage. So Andre Cortez as well, choosing not to pit. So I'm not too sure what's going on there. He's going to be a bit of a sitting duck coming over the top of the almost 90-degree steering lock to the right there. So, yeah, it's going to be quite tricky as we just see on the live pictures, Mizomo's just passed him over the top of the mountain.
Oh, how close did your leader, Cameron Stubber, get as well? So this is the problems for Andre Cortez in the final corner. He's just painfully gone past pit in.
Yeah.
And here it is, too much inside curb. Cortez Airlines there goes straight into the barrier. And whoa, your leader, Cameron Stubber, did collect him. So Stubber, is there a class he hasn't?
You can see.
Bish bash bosh his way past.
Yeah, you can see that he's bit of a twitch there. Yeah, potentially another bent steering arm is, Andre Cortez stuck again. So I believe this is going to be another either a virtual or real safety car.
Yeah, Cortez has not been able to limp that one around. You looked at the steering from his onboard and it was very no bueno. So Markovski suddenly in a very interesting position. Stubber might have a little bit of damage. He certainly lost some time from that. And now he is right behind Stubber.
Yeah, and this is exactly the beauty behind this. This 2 hour and 20-minute endurance race. It's almost managing everything around you. So you're managing your fuel, managing your tires, but also managing the lap traffic as well. So as you can see, Fulton Penny, you'd think in a normal sprint race with his accident very early on, now looks to be sitting probably the best now out of our top three.
Yeah, and my back of the envelope numbers would say that our GT4 cars might be able to get close to an hour of running on a tank of fuel now, which they are about, I guess, 10 minutes away from, except for that virtual safety car where they would have been able to save a lot of fuel. So I think we're going to see green flag stops forced for Skurlock, Markovski and Stubber in the next 10 to 15 minutes. But you're absolutely right. What a position Fulton Penny finds himself in. 15 seconds off the lead. Fuel topped up.
And we'll see as well, we can't rule out Cameron Dance, so he is actually sitting in the middle of the TCR pack at the moment in 8th position overall. So he will be able to, with all his fuel and tyres, he hopefully should make a little bit of time back. He is about a minute behind from Stubber at the moment. So just seeing him pass one of the TCR cars now.
Yeah, Dance has got to get his head down and motor up the road as we look to the lead in GT4. Stubber parking it to the inside of the cutting. Markovski, not enough BMW power up there to make a move stick.
I think this TCR car just in front should remain pretty clear until they get past the bend onto the straight. Sorry, Forrest, slipped my mind there. Forrest Elbow. So as we'll see these three come through the dipper now.
Yeah, certainly these kind of corners is where the TCR car is closest in performance to the GT4, but your 8th place runner in class is going to jump out of the way of Stubber and Markovski, and often that's the safe thing to do. If you see two guys behind you, faster cars battling for the lead, they're going to have less patience for you than otherwise, so the safe thing is to not bottle up those cars behind you. So how about the speed now for Markovski? I've got my eye on the numbers. Whoa, 5, almost 10 kilometers an hour more for Markovski. And how many moves in defense was there for Stubber?
Yeah, Markovski going left and going right, so not being able to find a way through. Markovski has seemed to be on the backs of many of these Porsches as we've seen the Savo. So, not wanting to put too much of a risky move in. So, yeah, obviously we're still an hour and a half on the clock. Not wanting to push too hard. They have a pretty big gap now to Fulton Penny. So, yeah, definitely not wanting to throw it away at these stages.
Shallow entry from Stubber there. The tyres, I think, might be going off for our GT4 runners a little bit though, because Stubber and Markovski, sure, they had a bit of traffic last lap, but 2:19s. Cam Dance flying along has just set his personal best at 2:16.5, so he absolutely is motoring along, but around the outside, that is not going to work for Markovski. Surely I could sense the understeer coming before he even turned into the corner there. Markovski barreling into Griffin's Bend on the outside. He could have been 3/4 of a car length ahead. He could have been 95% of a car length ahead. But if he didn't have the whole car length ahead, I just don't think he was going to make that one stick. Beamer versus Porsche around the outside.
Yeah, I think Cameron Stubbers making that Porsche Cayman the world's widest Porsche Cayman because, yeah, Markovski not getting on through. So, yeah, Cameron Dance putting in the fastest lap at the moment. So he's almost a second and a half up on these two front runners at the moment. So he is currently just under 60 seconds down. But if he can chip away with the tyres and the fuel that he's got now, he will be able to reel them back in. As we're just seeing in the pits, Jonathan Ben, one of the other Mustangs sitting behind him as well. So
yeah, we've got a Tyler Bishop still parked there for 7 minutes now. But more importantly, I think, is your sport class leader, Aaron Stanley, on the lane, has a very comfortable pit stop in hand over everyone else in class for the minute. Whoa, Skurlock. This time he's gotten to the inside at the chase. Sorry, Markovski gotten to the lead. And Stubber's trying to come back at him. Is there going to be a little bump there? Close as you like. Stubber is less than pleased, but Markovski has the lead.
Yeah, so we're seeing a really good battle now here between Markovski and Stubber. I think there is another car ahead, or I think they actually might be clear, as we're just heading to a modem simulation replay. That lap traffic playing a part again. So we can see Markovski does have the speed down the straight. So, yeah, excellent work there.
Bit of a dive from Markovski. Stubber was looking at the traffic in front maybe, and then suddenly saw Markovski grabbing the opportunity and seizing it with both hands. So Markovski into the lead. Stubber still a question mark on a bit of damage on that car. He hasn't pitted yet, and from what I've seen, he's hit two cars. I'm not going to blame him for them, but from what I've seen, he's hit two cars so far this stint on the front of his. So he might be just waiting it out, but he'll probably take the repairs at the stop.
I'm actually starting to think how their fuel's looking at the moment, because I don't think either of these two are going to have much more fuel left in it. They have been pushing for the best part of 50 minutes now, so especially with these 60% fuel restrictions, it looks like either of them not wanting to give up and pull into the pits early and wanting to try and stick it out to see if they can kind of nab another safety car at the moment. But I am expecting Markovski, he's going to, I think it will either have to be this lap or the next to pull it in, because they'll be almost running on fumes, I reckon, right about now.
Yeah, they kind of have had a fuel increase since last round in this class. So they're going a little bit longer, but you know, it's a big question. What do you do? Because if you pit now, if you pit early and then a safety car comes out, benefits you. You get caught right up to the pack. But if you pit early and then other drivers get to pit under a virtual safety car, you lose out like Cam Dance did. Here's a replay. Joshua Maynard, yeah, tough there across Skyline towards the dipper, just losing the rear end.
Yeah, I actually just saw a few of their lead GT cars come through there, so very, very lucky there for Fulton Penny. I think it was Penny, Skurlock, and Plolis or something came through on the same time. So Markowski still sticking it out there, catching one of the further back. I think that is Plonus as they've just come past there. So Plonus will want to try and stick on the back if he can, but he is a fair few laps down at the moment, so he won't be able to race for track position, but hopefully he can try and get that experience in and bank it for potentially next month as we see another one of our sport class of Scott Griffiths and Joshua Maynard from, you can see that accident damage from earlier on, so pretty tricky part of the track where he's crashed on the dipper as almost blind as it drops away from him.
And again, the back of the envelope figures say that we're looking at a 2-stop race for American Muscle and Sport Class based on where those guys are pitting. So that's interesting to see. The guys are in the lower classes, I feel, going as long as they can, so they try not to get caught off the lead lap. Still see another one diving for pit in, but here is Carl Ruwalt and Grant Matterford. Matterford has pitted, has stopped. 29 seconds of service is definitely at least front tires included for a TCR car. So Matterford's not going to want to be held up here. He's getting a good run off Hell Corner, and he'll get a bit of a tow up towards Griffin's Bend.
Yeah, Matterford definitely with a pace. So Matterford very, very experienced, as we've seen in the Panorama Drivers Club. He has been in most of the races, so pretty quiet drive from him at the moment as he just squeezes past Carl Rearwald there.
Easy, was it?
Yeah, Carl right on the back there, so pulling in behind. I think he kind of knows, seeing Matterford pull so quickly onto the back of him, that he knows that that Matterford is the faster of the two.
Cameron Stubber is on the lane, so he was second, briefly our leader. He's heading for his pit garage. The numbers get smaller as he gets towards the end of the lane. Jonathan Bain also with some surface. So apparently this is the second time on the lane for that car. Has he sped on the way out of pit lane? Has he damaged the car on cold tyres? Not sure, but here's your TCR leader now.
Yeah, or possibly coming in for damage, because he did only stop for about a second and a half on that one, so potentially getting a fast repair or possibly scuffing the wall or something that we didn't manage to catch on the broadcast. But yeah, Jonathan Ben, pretty unfortunate, as we see our leader of TCR, James Foster, in the pits. So that's going to hand it to Simon Mazzomo.
Handed it to Dean Ross.
Oh, Dean Ross, sorry, yeah.
Grabbed the service under the virtual safety car, right place, right time for him. And Dean Ross was through into the lead almost before James Foster hit his pit stall. Such is the amount of time Dean Ross saved pitting under that virtual safety car. Grant Matterford also took that opportunity pitting about 7 laps ago. And he's going to come out just behind James Foster. So Foster in the same camp as Cameron Dance, with a lot of work to do to try and salvage something from this race, because some of their competitors were benefited by some lucky timing and positioning, fortunate timing and positioning of that virtual safety car not long ago.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Just as I'm casting my eyes over the timing screen, so we've got Foster, Matterford, and Rearwalt. So yeah, Foster is definitely the fastest of the three. So see if we can if we can get Matterford to sit on the back there of Foster, he might be able to. I've just said that he's pulled a pretty hefty gap as we see the race leader in Markowski.
Yep, so Fulton Penny is going to come through into the lead. But Penny, having pitted earlier, is carrying a bit less fuel. Don't think took tyres. Might come under a bit of threat. Michael Skerlock also on the lane, so that's a pit stop now for all of your GT4 cars. And those who have pitted, Stubber, Dance. Stubber was ahead of Cameron Dance, but Dance is chewing into his gap.
Yeah, we'll just see both the Fitzy cars. Aaron Stanley waving again to Cameron Dance as he passes through. So Cameron Dance just passing another one of the sport class cars. So we're seeing all our GT4 cars are all out on new tyres, but it looks like Fulton Penny would have just got fuel only. So it'd be quite interesting to see the pace now. So Fulton Penny will be sitting at the front, but whether or not he can keep that pace, he has put in he is sitting a fair bit faster than most of the others at the moment with a 2:17. So if he can keep up that pace, we're just seeing Ashton Hurley now also in the pits.
Yeah, Aston Hurley has had a problem. I heard it on track. That car is quite toast. We did catch the replay somewhere, and the exit bit of grass in the middle of the chase, push out wide across the curb, and some tall curbs on the exit around some corners here, there, and Murray's. It's been catching people out.
Yeah, Aston very lucky there. You can see the smoke coming off, so lucky that he can just roll down the hill into that pit lane, potentially get a fast repair. So
Don't think so.
no,
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I think he's used up a lot of all his luck with Aston Hurley, so a bit unfortunate there as we're just seeing his teammate getting passed by, does look like by Markowski, so just chipping away at the moment. So Markowski on the tyres compared to Fulton Penny, so we'll be able to see that 20-second gap.
How confidently do you say that? Because I looked at the times here. Markowski, 7-second shorter stop than Stubber, Dance, and Skurlock, and I don't think I saw a tyre change for Jason Markowski.
I'm not confident on that at all, actually, because it is only a 4-second difference between Fulton Penny and Markowski, so we'll see the lap time as they come through. Cameron Dance again the fastest. Oh, sorry, Stubber the fastest. Yeah, they all seem pretty close at the moment.
So we have now had a pit stop from everyone in our race here. Your TCR battle is shaping up a little interesting. Dean Ross with a healthy margin of lead from fortunate timing of the virtual safety car. Cam Dance running in second, being pursued by the pole sitter, James Foster, in third.
Dean Ross being a bit of an underdog. We haven't seen too much of him, but as you can see with these endurance events, just consistency, just tapping those laps away, and you can see with a bit of good luck that has pushed him into the front as we just see Mizomo come through on his teammate of Aaron Stanley. So the other Fitzy car coming through. Mizomo's still sitting pretty good. He is 20 seconds back, but still, just as we've ticked over an hour, we've still got an hour and 17 on the clock.
And again, looking at the numbers here, Mizomo pitted with the virtual safety car, but had a longer stop than Dean Ross. I think Mizomo might be the only TCR car with new rear tyres. So maybe at the end of this race, that'll be of some benefit to him, as a lot of the other cars will only take front tyres at their 2 stops, or maybe only take front tyres at one of their stops, and by the end of it, the rear tyres might be, they'll be 2 hours, 20 minutes old, so it's not quite as good as when they're new.
Yeah, and also, I was just looking at the timing screen on the main feed as well, so we do remember just out of that virtual safety car, so Cameron Dance was almost a minute down. So he's brought that gap down to 34 seconds. So you can see where that consistency is coming. This is coming on the back of one of the Mustangs at the moment. So it does look like taking that little bit of extra time for those tyres have really paid dividends.
Yes, Cameron Stubber also pressing on now. He's on his third lap out of the pit stop and he's got them up to temperature. He was motoring along, pulling more than a second out of Fulton Penny and Jason Markowski in front, who we know are on older tyres. So Stubber is 30 seconds off the lead, but does appear to have a bit more speed at the moment. And I think they've done at least a little bit of cosmetic work to the front of that car.
Yeah, as we saw in the few earlier laps of Stubber, so unfortunately having a few collisions with some lap traffic, but we can see these two Porsches now are over a second a lap faster than Fulton Penny and Markowski. So we're seeing these. We are going to see these two Porsches of Stubber, of the two Camerons, are going to be pulling in over the coming half an hour.
You mean the dual cams?
The dual cams.
Oh my goodness. I thought of that ages ago, but anyway. Cam Stubber's got a flash of the headlights on. He was actually complaining to race control a couple laps ago about, I think it was a sport class car rejoining in front of him at the exit of the chase, that he feels may have held him up a little bit. So he's getting the message in and getting it in early that he is not going to deal with any nonsense from any traffic at the moment. He is on a mission to use those new tyres to their best effect to try and claw back time to the lead. And as he crosses the beam, he basically matches his best time from a lap ago and pulls a second out of the lead of Fulton Penny and a second and a half out of Jason Markowski. So with 33 laps to go, if he keeps up that kind of pace advantage, it is going to be close. Still another stop required from all of those cars in that class. But the way it's going at the minute, this is going to be a good stint for Stubber.
Yeah, and your heart really goes out to Stubber as well. So you can see that he's pulling in Markowski. He's only about 5 or 6 seconds behind, so he'll be right on the back there in the next couple of laps. So we did see last month, so Cameron Stubber leading 34 laps of last month's Panorama's Drivers Club, and then unfortunately having that accident and getting stuck in on the wall and not being able to finish the race. So he is definitely looking for a bit of redemption and also looking for a bit of luck to go his way.
American Muscle. Bit of a late tap of the brake pedal there from Borg, but I think he's just signalling to Ruwalt behind, go on and take the place. Or maybe he was serving a slowdown after cutting the chase or something.
Yeah, you can see Borgie there with his customary right-hand side damage, so seems to... Got
our spies telling us he did run wide at the chase there, and that was what was slowing him down. Here's how he did... What? Why turn in that early? Maybe he had a wiggle on the way in and decided the smart thing. Here we go, let's have a look. And then we're going to have to look at Michael Clonus afterwards. So he does get the wiggle, that sends him across. Yeah, and now cut to replay of Michael Clonus, who's also had an issue.
He was complaining of being on his side, so I think this could be a big one.
I can imagine, Nico Hulkenberg was on the radio complaining about the same thing when he was upside down. So that's... Clonus didn't sound quite so distressed, didn't describe himself as a cow. But here is how he's done it. Wide at the elbow. No, somewhere else. Oops, Stubber's looming in the background.
Yeah, there's a pretty fast part of the track here as we come through. So, as we've seen both with Borgie and Michael Plonis, just a little, just the slightest mistakes can be pretty catastrophic on such a fast part of the track.
Oh, there it is. And he's found that magnetic barrier as well. That's actually rough for Michael Plonis because it wasn't a particularly hard impact. He just lost the rear in the middle of the chase there.
And it does look like race control not pulling a virtual or full safety car to retrieve him. So racing is still underway.
Oh no, bad becomes worse for Andre Cortez. Like a lot of American cars of the period, if there's no oil under it, there's no oil in it, but there's oil out the back of it as well. So I am going to, either this was a hit against the wall or a bad gear shift for Cortez. He's found the wall, unfortunately, and that hasn't fully expired the engine, but it is wincing and crying, and he can't carry on like that too long.
Yeah, you'd think he's almost used every spare part in the entire Mustang field because that's the second engine he's blown in this race. Still moving under his own steam though, so he'll be able to get that back
And
to the...
steam it is.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Dance! We go live as he's facing the wrong way on the exit of the chase. Bit of damage on the car as he found that exit curb. Oh, he was already missing. There's already a bit of damage on the car potentially. But here we go through the chase. Dance, trying to carry the exit speed, has a wiggle, gets up on the curb, loops it around, reverses it into the barrier at the hotel. I've heard the bar is good there. I haven't been. And then noses into the tire barrier as well. So I didn't actually see a huge impact from Dance there. That's going to cost him a bunch of time, and he has brought it immediately down onto pit lane as well.
Yeah, so Cam Dan's being pretty experienced on dirt, but probably not the kind of dirt he was hoping for. So was having such a good run there. It is going to be a pretty hard task now, unless if a real safety car comes out, he'll be struggling now to make that time now as we're just sitting with Fulton Penny, maintaining that gap now to Markowski. So Stubber just 3 seconds shy now of Markowski.
Yeah. Again, we're hearing Brian Borg might have shortcut the track somewhere once again. He is... We'll see if this lap time is kept and not deleted. There we go, looking good now apparently. But Brian Borg, in the lead of American Muscle, might need to take a few deep breaths, calm it down, and get his legs back underneath him. Long pit stop here for Dance, though. More than a minute. That has shot holes through his hopes of a win, maybe even his hopes of a podium. He's going a lap down now. Already to his class leader, now to Markowski and Stubber. This lap, not quite so great for Cameron Stubber in his pursuit, but he still did take a handful of time out of Jason Markowski, and there needs to be some kind of UN charter against the treatment that Markowski's front tyres are going through here.
Yeah, you've got to feel for Cameron Dance, so being a lap down now is going to make a pretty hard task almost impossible to get onto the back of Stubber, Markowski and Fulton Penny, so it does look like his chance of a podium is going to be done as we're just catching live now of Markowski. So we've seen Stubber just chipping away at the moment. We just saw that Porsche come up around that last corner as they come over the top of the mountain now. So that'll be giving him a really good boost of confidence, seeing the back of Stubber seeing the back of that BMW of Jason.
Yep, and the track is cooling off as we get deeper into the afternoon and the evening. Well, not the date, but the time of day, pretty bang on matching Australian Eastern Time. So it's just a bit past 4. Track has been cooling off, but Markowski is still 2.5, 3 seconds away from his best lap. That is the pain he is going through with that set of tyres at the moment.
Yeah, well, just catching on the second screen at the moment, so it does look like Andre Cortez has retired. So unfortunately, there'll be no more engines. He has gone through 3, so unfortunately, we'll need to pull the pin as we're seeing just off screen at the moment, Adam Burhop pulling in. So potentially, that'll be Clint Shane Smith that'll be coming around the side of him there. So this does look like this might be the next set of pits now for the American Muscle class.
I think this is actually just an early one from Burhop. I think he's been forced into a 3-stop strategy, potentially, because it's still too early for American muscle cars to pit and get to the end.
Markowski will be looking up the road now to all that lap traffic, so that's really now going to play into the hands of Cameron Stubber. This is going to hold up Markowski as they just reach Quarry Corner here. You can see him just ahead, tucking in behind that TCR Audi, so we need to try and get both of them through.
Markowski is going to get past the TCR before the cutting, but he was very ginger with it and pushing wide through the cutting. This is the part where the Porsche Cayman is the best. This is the part where fresh tyres are the best, and Stubber is making hay while the sun shines on this one, pulling time out of Jason Markowski. And if he's going to get past, make a move stick, he really needs a great exit out of Forest Elbow to try and overcome the lack of straight line speed that he's got. So close to the walls, pinpoint precise, he is going to be right at the back of Markowski.
Yeah,
Oh, right at the back he is indeed. I didn't mean that close. And that has, if anything, checked him up and muted his run that he might have been able to make.
yeah, as we just see him go past there on Aaron Stanley. So, yeah, Cameron Stubber definitely was going to get a pretty good run there. The BMW pretty hard to beat down Conrod Straight, so you can see that gap has slightly opened up again to about 5-6 tenths. Stubber has been pretty consistently faster, so just looking at the timing screen though, he was about 8 tenths faster on that last lap, so he is chipping away. Oh, Markowski again on one of the Mustangs, so, and that's really held him up there.
Yeah, just hasn't picked the opportunity perfectly. Now Markowski's through. Stubber right at the back once again. Tell you who this is helping is Fulton Penny, though. Markowski's not able to match the leader's speed, and he's backing up Stubber as well. And these drivers who didn't take tyres at their first stop, pit window to pit and get to the end opens in the next 5 minutes for the GT4 cars. Are we going to see them risk coming in now to get a new set of tyres on and make the most of it to the end? We're going to see them sort of go long stop, long stint, short stint, long stint from some of these GT4 cars that might only take one set of tyres. Defensive stuff, though, from Markowski in the here and now without getting into the hypotheticals.
Yeah, and even talking about hypotheticals, you'd really have to get in the mind of Cameron Stubber. Is it worth trying to put a move on Markowski and try and close that gap to Fulton Penny, who's got pretty clean air out the front at the moment? Or is it worth trying to get that overtake done and close that gap? I actually think I said the same phrase twice, but we can see if he's going to try and conserve fuel. They will be able to pit pretty soon and be able to get to the line. So surely we'll see Stubber now.
Yeah, Adam Burhop becomes Adam Burstop on the lane for the third time. So he was a pole sitter in class in American Muscle, and now not looking like he is having a good day. Almost all of our retirements have been from the American Muscle class. We've lost Tyler Bish, Aston Hurley, Andre Cortez. We might be about to lose Adam Burhop as well. With this battle, a tap to the bumper to Jason Markowski, who has the speed in the straight line, but with the old tyres and the BMW just parked it in the middle of the chase. Got a tap from one of our TCR drivers there. Michael Skurlock, our other BMW, problems at the cutting, catches a drift, taps the wall.
Yeah, bit unfortunate there for Michael Skurlock. So him and Dean Ross are technically, they are on the same lap, aren't they? No, they are. So they're actually technically on racing for track position as well. So yeah, Dean Ross probably won't really need to give way to him. And Dean Ross with a pretty good lead at the moment as we see Brian Borg coming out of the pits.
Can American Muscle get to the end from now? Borg has now made 2 stops, and I worry he might have set himself up for a splash and dash there now.
Yeah, 1 hour will be pretty game. So hopefully he's done his homework and worked out exactly how many laps at 60% of an American Muscle car can make. So just catching Cameron Stubber, a little bit of a gap from Markowski at the moment. So not getting through. He is the pretty similar times at the moment. It's actually someone that's a fair bit quicker is Michael Skurlock. He would have lost a little bit of time there with that slide that he had at Forest Elbow. So Skurlock putting in a bit of a late pace. As we saw earlier on, the first 10 laps or so, he was struggling quite a lot, but it seems like he's found a bit of pace at the right time.
Here's what we were talking about early, where the Caymans were a faster car across one lap, but the BMW has just slightly longer legs, means that in these race conditions, Stubber, clearly faster, is just struggling to get past because he can't do it down Conrod Straight. He needs to do it somewhere else, like a good run off the chase here towards Murray's, for example. He needs to get inventive, whereas Markowski can just plant it in the middle of the corners and keep his elbows out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we've seen the field have been pretty good at the moment as we see, Stubber showing a nose there on Markowski. So just pulling in, just keeping that pressure on at the moment, letting him know that he's there. So we'll see this big run up the mountain straight. He won't be able to do it in a straight line here, so he will have to tuck back in as they go across the top of the mountain.
Yeah, indeed. A look here from Stubber, but he just doesn't have straight line speed for this at the minute, which I'm sure is incredibly frustrating for him. But Stubber knows he's got the pace to also be closing down the leader, Fulton Penny. Oh, Markowski's put it in the fence. Big impact, but he's going to try and stay ahead. The thing just plowed at the cutting. Now he is so slow. Stubber is trying to force a way past. Markowski, damaged car. Again.
Oh,
You're not trying to defend with a car that damaged, surely. Now Stubber gets through. I think we'll have to take a look at where that damage came from for Markowski. He's bent the steering on the Bimmer.
Yeah, you can see struggling to keep it in a straight line there. Looked like he was half hoping to keep Stubber behind him, but maybe if he can get the pit stop done now, it might not all be lost there for Markowski. So pretty unfortunate. And also very fast part of the track there. Oh, just pushing wide. So
just didn't want to turn, did it? He's coming into the cutting there. famously, braking and turning at the same time. And he realizes he's not braking enough, and it just... So that is the damage on the steering for Jason Markowski. He is losing a handful of time here, but he's going to try and get it back to the pit lane, and he might be able to stop and get to the end from here. So this isn't complete disaster for Markowski.
Yeah. Some amazing driving there. He was sitting there at 240 k's an hour, darting from left to right. So Markowski...
Been watching Lewis Hamilton, rule of getting it back to the pit lane or the checkered flag with 3 wheels on the wagon.
Yeah, so Markowski hopefully might have a fast repair. He's definitely not going to be able to continue on that race with the way that steering is. So just seeing a few more. Looks like we've had Adam Burhop retire as well. So I think you might have mentioned that before. So the Mustangs are really big race of attrition at the moment, with many of those Mustangs not making it.
They just weren't built Ford tough.
That's right. Yeah, they're definitely...
We're going to keep an eye on Jason Markowski here, and then go on a little break, bring you action at the end of this race here, PDC 11 on SimSpeed TV. It's going to be an interesting finish to this race at the mountain, with a lot of strategy in TCR and GT4. Don't go too far, we'll be back shortly.
Carolina, where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400-lap race on this 0.625-mile racetrack. Here's the starting lineup. On the pole from Dawsonville, Georgia, in the number 9 Coors Ford qualifying and Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. Everybody nicely through turns number 1 and 2 as Bill Elliott has the lead, and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into second position, followed by Benny Parsons and Bobby Allison.
Georgia, Bill Elliott straining car number 9 to bring it home. 10 car lengths. Bill Elliott, 2-time winner of the Great American Race. Now the out of fuel Bill Elliott, and Dale Earnhardt is going to win the Trans-South 500, his second win of 1987.
Welcome back. Panorama Drivers Club is coming to an interesting conclusion for PDC 11 on the mountain. The sun is setting. It's absolutely beautiful. And we're going to give you a recap of the positions, where they stand, and maybe some of the projected strategy as well. Fulton Penny is leading GT4 at the moment on a double stinted set of tyres. He's got 23 seconds ahead of a charging Cameron Stubber, who is on a newer set of boots. And then, well, it's up in the air. Who is next in that class? Jason Markowski was just making a pit stop when we went on break. He took a new set of tyres. He's absolutely fueled to get to the end. And he's only under a minute behind those two Porsches who still need a stop. Michael Skurlock is on an outlap right now. He's topped off his fuel tank. And that'll probably get him to the end, but how are those tyres going to hold up on the BMW? Cam Dance, tough race for him. He is out there a handful of laps down, and he's managed to get that car fixed. 15 minutes of repairs. Let's take a look at TCR then, where your leader is on pit lane. How convenient. This looks like it's going to be the last stop for Dean Ross. Benefited very, very much from making his first stop under virtual safety car. Simon Mazzomo, who took the same strategy, is going to follow him in right now as well. Maybe they've reached as far as they could go from that early stop. Is that going to hand over the lead to Grant Matterford? No, he also pitted on the same lap last time as those guys, so we might also see him on the lane. Just goes to show, Nick, that the strategy has been very, very important, and those who could take advantage of pitting with a virtual safety car have really risen to the top of TCR.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think a few of those leading classes were hoping for a real safety car to come out and bunch them all back together, but it hasn't been so much at the moment. So we're just looking at the moment with James Foster. So he does have two stops at the moment. So we'll see where he comes out compared to the other two. He's just coming past the pit boxes at the moment. I know we've seen. Just see what's ahead of him at the moment. So it does look like he's ahead now of Mazzomo. So Mazzomo is going to have the fuel though, because we have seen James Foster has been out only for a couple of laps at the moment. So not really much to separate between him and Mazzomo. They are going to be on pretty similar fuel and pretty similar tyres. So
two in GT4 are on the lane right now. Fulton Penny's in his box. Cameron Stubber is on the lane. We know that the first stop for Penny was a splash of fuel only. And do you see that car up on its jacks right now?
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's going on there. We are a little bit far away as we
I didn't see it drop. I really didn't.
No, you're right. And it was only a 22-second stop. So Fulton Penny again seems pretty confident at the moment with his tyres. So Cameron Stubber looking like he's got a pretty short stop as well.
I think Stubber went for only 2 tyres there. That's an interesting one. He will have topped the fuel off to get to the end. And I think... I think he took 2 tyres.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Well, quickly, just as we're doing a bit of a recap as well, so we've got Brian Borg, as we've seen, do pretty well at the moment. So with a pretty substantial lead to Jonathan Ben, another V8 supercar driver as well. So Clint Shane Smith, also there as well, and Corey Shepherd as well. So they only got those 4 left, so there was quite a few retirements, unfortunately, for the American muscle car class, getting bashed and biffed around. So crossing over to the sport class car, Aaron Stanley just on an absolute dominant drive at the moment. So he's almost a lap on the whole field, aside from Scott Griffiths, which he'll be... Scott Griffiths is only slightly further up the road, so Aaron Stanley absolutely dominating. He's on track at this stage to lap the entire field. His own class, sorry. To lap his entire class.
Well, that would be an achievement. Certainly. Yeah, maybe should have seen it coming when he was 2.5 seconds faster than everyone else in qualifying. His teammate, Cameron Dance, though. Well, what has he done? Looks like hell corner. The curbs have not been his friend today. That's a pretty significant hit. Apparently broke like a rear toe link in one of his previous incidents. That won't have helped.
Yeah, we're just seeing Manafort come out of the pits, but yeah, sorry, as you were saying, Cameron Dance, very unfortunate. I was tipping to be a podium getter at the moment, but just a little bit of, just a few mistakes here and there has really cost him. So potentially we'll see him come on just a little bit stronger in future races.
Yeah, of course, he did at least 1 or 2 races in the sport class car and has now moved into GT4. So maybe growing pains there, who knows.
Yeah, James Foster currently 15 seconds now from Dean Ross. So just to remind everyone, James Foster has been undefeated in the last 6 races. So he has the highest points anyone can possibly get in Panorama's Drivers Club. So currently not sitting ideally where he wants to go. He's usually a little bit further up the front, but as we've seen, it only takes either a virtual or a real safety car and it'll squeeze them all back together.
Yeah, all up in the air. Anything could happen, and often does in racing.
Cars sometimes hit walls and sometimes they don't.
Tell you what's fascinating me, though, is this strategy from Fulton Penny. Fulton Penny tire whisperer, or a fool who's gonna, fall to bits at the end here and be caught by Stubber. Fulton Penny has, as you can see, 16 seconds ahead of Cameron Stubber. They're both fueled to get to the end at this point, we would believe. Stubber, much fresher tyres, we've seen with a bit of clear track, can absolutely press on. What might happen there?
Yeah, it's actually, we haven't seen because they've only just come out of the pits, so we haven't seen the pace difference between Fulton Penny and Cameron Stubber. So yeah, I'll be very curious. We know that Stubber's very, very quick on the track, and he potentially might have this tyre advantage. So yeah, very curious to know how that is going to play out. So we're just catching some of the onboard with David Johnson and Darren Shannon having a few incidents early on, but great to see him back out there.
Yeah, that was Shannon triggered our first and only virtual safety car with the whole front fell off, and now recovering from that. And I think the virtual safety car actually very much helped him not lose too much time from that incident. And here he is now ranging up to the back of David Johnson, and if you get a good run out of Forest Elbow in these cars, the draft, the slipstream, is very significant when your horsepower is almost only double digits.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They are quite down on power, but do retain quite a lot of momentum, as you can see. David Johnson just checking up there, and we've got a TCR car trying to find a way past. So I think that's James Rewald. It is too, yeah. So going around the outside of these two sport class coming through. James Rewalt having a pretty quiet drive at the moment. He's usually around the podium in the top 3 at the moment, currently sitting in 4th place.
Yeah, here's what it looked like from him, bearing down on these guys. Nearly sent Darren Shannon for another trip to the Shadow Realm. That was close.
Yeah, so James Rewalt not really up there at the moment, as we seen. I think there was Fulton Penny come through on these two sport cars as well. So yeah, Fulton Penny just having a look at the lap times at the moment. So yeah, Cameron Stubber a lot faster, almost very close to 2 seconds faster at the moment, as we see Fulton Penny come across the line again. I think he had an invalid lap from clipping something. So yeah, 2 minutes 20. So pretty slow pace at the moment. Just have a look at Cameron Stubber coming over the line.
2 seconds faster on that lap for Stubber. And if he can keep that up in a couple of laps, he'll be there. I mean, there's plenty of traffic on the in-between there as they go 3 wide up the hill. Clint Smith splits the difference in a flock of MX-5s. I don't know what the collective noun would be for them.
A gaggle of MX-5s.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it is a gaggle. He had to go 3 wide to force his way through. That's the 4-1-2. David Johnson is going to lose out to Darren Shannon through all of that.
You could almost call it the MX-5 tunnel, because we've just seen Cameron Stubber come through the MX-5 tunnel as well, splitting the two little Mazdas there. So Stubber on an absolute blinder at the moment. So I think that might have cost him a little bit of time, but at the moment he's definitely on the pace to reel back in Fulton Penny.
Taking no prisoners through the traffic as well, and we're going to see an example of that here as he comes up behind Clint Smith. Is he going to look for the move? Smith is going to, I think, give him the space, actually. But the wide entry for Stubber is not preferable, but he eventually gathers it up. They get a bit close there.
Yeah, Clint Shane Smith, a pretty experienced driver on the iRacing service, so gave Cameron Stubber exactly a Porsche's size gap of space. So Stubber making it through. You can see the amount of legs that he puts on that Mustang as they come down Conrod Straight.
TCR is very, very close.
Yeah. Just looking at the last laps as well, so not really much to separate between Ross, Foster and Mazzomo. They're all putting in roughly the same lap time, so yeah, not too sure. Dean Ross is still holding them off at the moment.
It certainly is. Foster not leaving Mazzomo in the dust.
You'll see pretty good drive there from Mazzomo. So his first time in the TCR, he has done quite a few laps there of the TCR on Bathurst. So yeah, getting holding only a second and a half there off Foster, or second and a half or so. So yeah, it is starting to heat up between these three. The next one down from them is James Rewalt, who is a fair bit further back, so about 40 seconds or so.
So, do believe we started with about 27 cars and have 19 left out on track. So what started as the most populous class of American muscle might now be the class that has the least cars left on track.
Yeah, and it definitely goes currently equal with the Mazda at the moment. So yeah, it does. 2 hours and 20 minutes doesn't seem like a long time in the grand scheme of things, but keeping it off the walls and managing that lap traffic can really show, as we just see Aaron Stanley and Scott Griffiths in the sport class. Yeah, it is very, very tricky. The Bathurst, not very many runoff areas, so yeah, it is very easy to scrape those walls.
Fulton Penny will keep an eye on his times and tyre life as he bounces it across the curb more safely than Cam Dance. Last lap was 2:17. This was a 2:17. And he's managed to find speed and performance somewhere as he actually runs wide on the exit of turn 1 and gives some of it away. But yeah, I mean, we don't think he's taken tyres at any point this race.
Just seeing on the lap time as well, so Cameron Stubber responding with a 2:17.1, so putting in another half a second into Fulton Penny, that is definitely not going to be enough at this stage, so Stubber really does have to start putting the pedal down a little bit to pull those gaps back, as we've just seen James Foster has just put a move in there on Simon Mazzomo, so we might have just caught it.
No, Mazzomo's closing him down.
Oh, sorry.
Mazzomo's punching above his category a little bit here, maybe. Pulled a couple tenths out of Foster on the previous tour. Now I think he's gotten himself within 1 second. He'll be very much enjoying the slipstream down Conrod Straight here, and you see how much it's gained him towards the chase. A handful of free car lengths, free real estate for Mazzomo, just gets him into this battle for second place. And, I mean, I think Mazzomo finds himself in a position where he's got just slightly better tyres underneath him as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it does look like James Foster's chances of making it 7 in a row are starting to run out. Yeah, Mazzomo doing an excellent job. Not a novice to Drivers Club at all.
He's just punched in the fastest time in class for the day. Per what I can see, 2 minute 19.4. It's certainly his personal best. And he's missed out by 2 tenths there, but Foster is defending the inside for Griffin's Bend that stops Mazzomo getting past.
Yeah, these two are almost in no man's land, because we do see Rewald is a fair way behind. Are they close enough? They would probably need to work together to pull that gap back into Dean Ross, because as you can see, it's just under 16 seconds at the moment. We are going to hit the half an hour mark, so you'd almost say, unless if a safety car come out, it does look like these two will be fighting for second place.
Yeah, the lap times have been so equal. I mean, Mazzomo was 1 tenth behind Dean Ross on the lap just gone, and this is a big lap. We all know that. So, I mean, a tenth of a second here or there is not a particularly quick rate of change to try and claw back a lead that Dean Ross has.
Talking about clawing back, so Cameron Stubber again putting in a second and about a tenth into Fulton Penny. So we can just see, just slowly, we saw it wasn't too many laps ago that was about a 15-second gap for the lead in GT4. So he's almost taken about 3 or 4 seconds off as we see those two Audi TCRs come into the chase.
Ooh, there they go. Slotting past Brian Borg, American muscle leader. Looks like the headlights are on for the Mustangs now. We're probably going to finish with the headlights on in all of our other classes as it gets closer to sunset. And what I see on the screen matches very closely what I see out my window, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, we've seen so Mazomo as well. Currently, he is the last car in the lead lap. He is showing just. Oh, he almost thought he was going to get that draft. He is going to try and go around the outside. He will have to pull in a little bit if he can maintain that overlap. Yeah, James Rewalt just edging in front there. So Mazomo may having to tuck in behind until they're off the top of the mountain.
Yeah, just going into Griffin's Bend there, parked it precisely where you need to do to defend the inside, defend your position. So that's not how he's going to get past. But we've seen just how strong the toe becomes down the Conrod straight, and that's probably going to be the next focus for Mazomo. Am I seeing troubles for Michael Skurlock? Problems for what was your 4th place GT4 car, Michael Skurlock. Get updates on that when they come, but Carl Ruwalt on the lane in TCR. We're going to pick up a replay, and it might just tell us the score. The words, the scory of Skurlock. No, the problem here for Michael Skurlock, and he bit erratic there. Remember, he hit the wall in Forest Elbow a couple laps ago, but yeah, that is just poof to the Shadow Realm. Michael Skurlock, unfortunately. Real shame with 30 minutes to go. Pick up the TCR battle for second once again. And Mazomo just didn't get close enough towards the chase. Now he's having a look at the end of the lap. Whoa! Safety car is out. There's a car upside down on the top of the mountain, and that's your 2nd place sport class car, Scott Griffiths, on his lid, and that has brought out our first full safety car of the day. And we'll have a look at this one. Exit of the dipper, into the fence. There's your leader, Fulton Penny, clouts him and hard. This safety car was already going to be a disaster for Fulton Penny, but take a look at this, the damage for Fulton Penny.
Yep, pretty unfortunate. So we do remember that Fulton Penny did have an accident early on, almost in the first 5-10 laps of the race. Oh, nowhere to go with that MX-5 reversing over the front of him. Yeah, pretty unfortunate there for Fulton Penny. Don't think he'll be able to get a fast repair on that because I think he has fixed damage before, so he looks to be steering pretty straight there.
So they're all gonna close up here. Now, Director Jay Kennedy knows I'm a sucker for flashing lights, and I love that warning system in the cockpit of the Cayman. Comes on under caution, in-car flagging system. I'd say a pretty important safety feature at Bathurst.
Yeah, also from that zoom up as well, you could see that the car was tracking quite straight there. So Fulton Penny potentially not bending a steering arm on that. He did hit that MX-5 almost front on, which I guess is what you preferably want if you're going to crash into an MX-5. So that car was steering pretty straight, so Fulton Penny may be able to keep it on out of pit lane.
Train starting to form up behind the safety car, but it can take a while sometimes, especially for the sport class cars to come around and join the train. So Aaron Stanley, sport class leader, is in the snake. Fulton Penny is in the snake. Is this going to solidify Aaron Stanley a lap ahead of the rest of his class?
Yeah, it's a bit of a curious one. Aaron Stanley.
I think it will.
Yeah. So
Here is that second placed car. Now elevated into second place is Darren Shannon. So the problems for Griffiths that we saw. Oh, headlights are on. There we go. Dark enough now at the mountain. You got to turn them headlights on, and they all come on in in beautiful unison. But yeah, it is going to be quite a dark finish to this race, as you can see. Mazomo and Foster, second and third in TCR, just dawdling around behind the second place sport class car, who is absolutely fanging it to try and catch this pack.
yeah, that's exactly right. So Fulton Penny again not choosing to go in the pits now. Oh, sorry, they're coming down Cromwell Straight, so there's no pit lane there. But Fulton Penny seeming pretty confident at the moment that his steering isn't too bad. So that's going to pull, as you can see, Stubber and Markowski back on there. So Markowski pretty lucky to there to pull that gap all the way back in. So it's also pulled in as well Dean Ross into James Foster and Simon Mazomo.
So pit lane might open at the end of this lap here. Stubber's weaving a little bit, trying to keep some temperature in his tyres. He is feeling racy. But we'll see who, if anyone, wants some fresh tyres for the end, thinks they need a bit of fuel for the end, needs some repairs for the end. Is on board with Stubber. It's Fulton Penny. He's going to stay out by the looks of it. Going to take the gamble on that damage. Someone actually opted for pit in. Was the TCR. It was Kyle Stevens.
Yeah, we're just catching... lights are off on the safety car now, so we are going to be running green just after this lap. You can see there Markowski's BMW just behind there, so he won't be able to pull that gap between Fulton Penny. So there is going to be a litter of, maybe that's a collective now, a litter of MX-5s. So a litter of MX-5s and a TCR car in the mix. So Fulton Penny might be lucky enough to have that little bit of lap traffic in behind him.
So what are we going to have? About 19 minutes left when we drop the green flag. Here's a couple more cars going hell for leather trying to catch the pack before the restart. And if you are those drivers of James Foster and Simon Mazomo, you want that sport class car to get to the pack so they can get closer to Dean Ross.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And just while we're on the safety car as well, a big shout out to Daniel Stevens, who's having a pretty tough time with a family emergency at the moment. So, yeah, I hope you're feeling all right, mate. Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. So,
Series misses you, and our thoughts are with you at the moment.
Yeah, exactly right. So, yeah, I hope it all goes a little bit smoother. But, yeah, it's a bit of a shame to miss out today. But we're all thinking of you.
I have my eyes on the track map. Everyone is in the snake behind the safety car, with the exception of about 4 cars, one of which is your American muscle leader, who is, I think, then benefited quite well from this, surely. Nearly a whole lap ahead of everyone else. So it happens like that sometimes. Brian Borg is a very lucky recipient of a very big gift there.
Yeah, that's exactly
brings
right.
Everything closer together in TCR and GT4.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we're going to see a fair few of these names, and especially in American Muscle next month with the Bathurst 1000, and we'll be running as well a Drivers Club around that weekend as well. So if you have a big appetite for Bathurst next month, will be all you can eat.
My favourite words in the world. So they're all coming down Conrod Straight. We're not far away from the resumption of racing in PDC 11. And take a look at some of these gaps. Dean Ross to James Foster to Simon Mizomo in TCR. Tantalising prospect, especially we know how much tyre Mizomo has underneath him.
Yeah, and just as we were saying before the safety car as well, so Ross, Foster and Mizomo all putting in pretty similar time. So it was definitely Ross having the upper hand, as we're just coming out of the chase now to go green, but he is going to have a pretty big fight on his hands now.
So safety car is going to come in. Fulton Penny leads the field. He's got a couple of lapped cars between himself and Cameron Stubber in the purplish looking machine. And then another car backwards to the green BMW of Jason Markowski. Fulton Penny, how much damage does he have on the car? He might not even know himself. He hasn't driven it under green flag conditions, but now he will with 19 minutes to go. He gets the race underway and pushes on. Stubber has gotten past some of the cars he needed to already in his pursuit of GT4 lead. And here, Mizomo, third in TCR, right at the rear bumper of James Foster. Foster, 2.5 behind Dean Ross, who himself is having to navigate his way through some of the traffic, and that's what everyone's going to have to do on this first lap. Big moves there from Foster.
Yeah, he was looking left, looking right. There was either an MX-5 or a BMW directly in front of him, so thankfully he chose the right-hand side. So, yeah, both him and Mizomo are going to come past there. Oh, very close there for Mizomo on that lap BMW.
Well, it might have been a bit of a free kick for the American Muscle leader, but it has brought Clint Smith and Jonathan Bain together. And that looks like Jonathan Bain does not want to give up anything, and that's hurt James Foster. Now Mizomo is going to have to go around the outside of the Mustang as well. Bounces it across the curb, but he makes it stick eventually. GT4 update. On board the BMW of Markowski. He's just about a second behind Cameron Stubber. Stubber, 2.2 seconds behind Fulton Penny, who is pressing on. One car between them is your TCR leader of Dean Ross. No, it's one of the rear walls a lap down.
Yeah, we're just seeing a pretty clean off the safety car. We have seen in the past where we've had back-to-back safety cars with a lot of incidents. I don't want to put the commentator's curse on, but so far everything looks pretty cleanly. We did have a few of those MX-5s up the front of that train as they went green. Just seeing a few of the TCR cars. Mizomo on the back of Foster through the chase there, and we just saw a Mustang, well, it looks like go a little bit wide. But Foster and Mizomo are going to come up on the back there of Carl Rewalt just off in the distance there, so that could be prove quite a challenge for those two.
Yeah, indeed. Now nothing to separate the leaders. That lap time from Fulton Penny, 2 minute 18.3, and that's off the safety car restart, so not too shabby. If he's missing speed anywhere, it's probably going to be in a straight line though. And here comes Mizomo. Looking at James Foster. Foster has done this defense before, all the way to the right-hand side of the road. Park it for the inside, and there just isn't the grip around the outside. to make the move stick. So that's good stuff from Foster holding on to second, but it is going to slow him down from maybe trying to hunt Dean Ross for the lead. That's why it's so critical for Mazomo to get through quickly.
Yeah, you can also just catch behind there Mazomo's Fitzy teammate as well, Cameron Dance, in his now repaired Porsche. So he potentially might come past him on the straight. He is a few laps down, so he will be shown the blue flag and want to definitely keep out of this battle happening in front of him.
Yeah, indeed. Across the top of the mountain, down Skyline, and what a great place to watch the sunset if they've got time.
Yeah, Mazomo, you want to try and get a good run. He is pretty close there to Foster, so he will be able to take advantage of that draft. Unfortunately for Foster, they're just a little bit too far back there from, you can see just up the road of Carl Realwald. So he won't be able to make the most of that. See that speed difference and how strong that Porsche is. So you can see Cameron Dance almost having to coast it, so he's not going to shoot past these TCR cars. He'll almost like pulling up the couch or the sofa and just taking a look at these two battle it out in front of him.
Speaking of speed difference, that time down Conrod Straight, Fulton Penny missing 10 kilometers an hour at the end of the straight, maybe as many as 10, while Cameron Stubber set the new fastest lap of the race, 1.5 seconds faster than Fulton Penny. The gap now 7/10 of a second. Jason Markowski also lurking in the background. So Fulton Penny, I think, across the top of the mountain in the braking zones, still very, very confident. But he's added a little bit of drag to that car. It's missing performance at the end of the long straights, and that is going to make him vulnerable to Cameron Stubber, who also, we do believe, has slightly newer tyres on as well.
Yeah, it's. Oh, sorry, I was just looking at the back there. So Cameron Dance is through now on James Foster and Simon Mazomo. So almost giving Mazomo a toe pass there on James Foster. Mazomo running a little bit slow through that corner there, but this endurance race is now fast turning into a sprint race. Stubber now definitely with the upper hand. He is feeling a lot stronger, and it's only going to be a matter of time now when he's going to get this move done. So I reckon he'll, down Conrod, he'll put in a really strong exit towards Fulton Penny.
Yeah, if the numbers I saw are correct, what you'll definitely see is Penny get into 6th gear down the straight here and then just begin to suffer as his car acts like a bit of a parachute in the straight line here. You get a good perspective on board with Cameron Stubber closing, and then they pass the 220, 230 kilometer an hour barrier. Penny hits a bit of a brick wall.
And who's pulled in from absolutely nowhere? Jason Markowski as well, only 4/10 behind Stubber at the moment, and he's right there on the back of Cameron Stubber. So this battle for first place is now going to be a 3-way fight.
There's always a bigger fish. Stubber now has to defend from Jason Markowski. Yeah, Penny slower in a straight line than Stubber, slower in a straight line than Jason Markowski, and Markowski has a bit of a run around the outside here. The green BMW up into 2nd place, and Stubber
he
looked
took
poised to take the lead, and now he's kind of stumbled a bit here. The pressure has gotten to him.
Yeah, coming down into Murray's, he did take a very, very shallow line there and was quite a lot slower. You saw a little bit of a slide there coming out of the coming onto the pit straight, so that has given Markowski the upper hand. So we did see a fastest lap earlier on from Stubber. Markowski, what is the fastest out of these three on the last lap, so potentially he may be the one that has the pace to take it to the line.
Definitely got the pace in a straight line, does the BMW, and that's kind of what you want right now. He's right up underneath Fulton Penny.
He'll just have to sit in as they come across the top of the mountain. It is pretty tight through here, so all three of them only split by about half a second at the moment, so very, very tight there between Penny, Markowski and Stubber.
And no worries about traffic for these guys because of that safety car not long ago that bunched up the whole pack. It's clear for 3/4 of a lap in front of these guys. They just got to worry about their 3-car battle. And through the dipper there, bit of a struggle for Markowski, gives some breathing room to Penny, gives Stubber a look down the inside of Forest Elbow. If they keep doing that, they're going to let Penny get away. So what about the straight line speed here? Markowski, pedal to the floor. Penny, bit damaged. The speed difference at the end of the straight is going to be severe as they come over the crest underneath the gantry. Oh, Markowski was looking for the space to dive down the inside. He's done it before. It's not going to be this time, but he has forced Penny into defending.
Yeah, Penny very, very, very shallow on the inside of that. So that is going to slow them all three. That is going to slow all three of them up. So Markowski, showing a nose again, running a little bit wide. So he's going to try and cut through there. Taps the bumper there of Fulton Penny. Oh, and who's come out of nowhere? Cameron Stubber.
This is ridiculous stuff for the end of an endurance race. Down the inside, Markowski has the nose. Came from a long way back. He's forced Penny wide a little bit. Now Markowski has the free rein. Stubber trying to make it 3 wide, just could not find a place to stick his nose. He's managed to fit it into a narrower than a Porsche gap before. Now Markowski makes another move in defense for the inside of Griffin's Bend. Markowski has the lead and he plows wide. Cameron Stubber from third through into the lead of the race. Markowski with the understeer in the BMW. Stubber finally to the lead. Fulton Penny in third. And these guys are racing today.
Yeah, that's it. They won't be conserving fuel or trying to save tyres now. This will be a flat-out sprint race. We only have 9 minutes left on the clock now. So we did see Markowski go a little bit wide and put a bit of a pace there, so he will be able to pull that gap down on the straight, as we've seen Markowski. And we also have seen all three of these lead the race as well at different stages, so this is becoming a really exciting prospect.
I think that's the goose cooked for Fulton Penny, though. He was driving well, defending well, but now he's back in third. Stubber is getting away. Markowski will be nigh on impossible to pass in a straight line.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So not very much difference to split between the three of them. You could almost say that Fulton Penny, because he did take 2 tyres, if not, but we're just looking further down the field now at Simon Mazzomo on the back of James Foster at the moment. So those two sitting in at the moment. Dean Ross has pulled a 5-second gap, so Ross really putting the pace in now, and Foster will be watching him just go up the road.
Yeah, Dean Ross, too good. Brian Borg with near enough a whole lap on second and third in his class. Clint Smith and Jonathan Ben not done yet, but now just over a second apart. Crossing the line, GT4 leaders. Cameron Stubber has 0.8 of a second from Markowski, who's starting to drop Fulton Penny. And if Markowski can stay in the toe of Stubber, he's got the straight line speed to maybe be able to stay there.
Yeah, just looking at those lap times, so Stubber, the fastest of the three, about a second to Markowski and about another second to Fulton Penny. So he's definitely putting on the speed. Right,
I mean, of course, the lap times are going to be the order that they're in. They were basically 3 wide, crossing the timing stripe the time before. It speaks for itself on that regard. And again, this is the same defensive move from Foster. He just stays all the way to the right-hand side of the road. Mazzomo can't get enough momentum around the outside to do anything into Griffin's Bend.
Yeah, Foster definitely knowing how to make that Audi as wide as he possibly can. He runs a very shallow line on the inside, then almost squares off the corner by running it to the left. So we've seen him lap after lap. Mazzomo has to almost be nose to nose with him to block him from doing that. But yeah, Mazzomo just not quick enough at the moment to get it round for that second place.
Cameron Stubber has started to catch some traffic now. He got really held up on the exit of the dipper there. Markovski gets even closer once again, and Stubber nearly turned the poor man of Scott Griffiths.
Yeah, he almost had a MX-5 imprint on the front of his Porsche there, who he checked up at a very tight part of the track. We'll just get a modem simulation replay of that.
Here it is, Scott Griffiths coming into the dipper. Cameron Stubber behind. Big head of speed. Griffiths trying his best to stay out of the way, but the timing just didn't favour it there. And my goodness, that was nearly race done for Cameron Stubber. It's not race done for Clint Shane Smith and Jonathan Bain, looking for second in American Muscle, though.
Yeah, Clint Shane Smith and Jonathan Bain. So we've seen, unfortunately, for a lot of the American Muscle cars not making it to the end. So it is good to see a few more battles for position. And we're seeing a few podium battles still, so in TCR and in American Muscle at the moment. So seeing a lot of action after nearly 2.5 hours throughout this race.
Yep. 2 hours, 15 minutes done. 5 minutes left to go. Markovski is closing in on Cameron Stubber. Cameron Stubber flashing those headlights for all they're worth, because he is now starting to catch some of the sport class traffic. He doesn't want a repeat of what he had at the dipper last lap, and he's not going to get it, because first and second GT4 are going to get pretty cleanly through. Markovski might have been having flashbacks of pushing wide at the cutting a couple laps ago. TCR. Zomo had a very good look at the chase at James Foster end of last lap. Has not been able to make the move work at the end of Mountain Straight, but Conrod Straight is where he's been looking for the opportunity lately. He's staying close, he's keeping it within a car length, and he's got the pressure firmly on James Foster in the last couple laps here.
Yeah, not much separating him at the moment. They've all been pretty even at the moment with the lap times, so you can just see that another MX-5 being thrown up there, well and truly out the way there, so allowing Foster and Simon Zomo all the way through. It's definitely a multi-class race when you think they're almost nearly to the line, and then just all these MX-5s just seemingly drop out of the sky in your way.
There we go. So this is critical point of the track for Zomo. His exit, he needs to be closer than that, and his exit needs to be better if he's going to get close enough to make a move at the chase on James Foster. He's still going to follow in the wheel tracks. He's going 4-5 kilometers an hour faster right now with that slipstream. 239 for Foster, 244 at the same time for Mazomo. So there's a good slipstream to be made. It helps him close up, but he just needs to have slightly better run at him. He needs to be just a little bit closer if that slipstream is going to help him get past.
Yeah, he's just buying his time at the moment. He hasn't really shown too much of a nose. The main position is in Griffith's Bend. He seems to be getting a really good run out of Hell Corner, as we're just seeing now. So you'll see Mazomo will be pulling that time back, and you can just see up the road again another lone Mazda MX-5 being thrown at these two to navigate through. You can see Foster flashing the lights there, trying to get this MX-5 out of the way, because this has been a overtaking opportunity for Mazomo.
A little bit of traffic, negotiate their way.
Just see Grant Matterford up the road by the looks of it.
Yep, 5th place in class. This TCR battle remains tense. Less than 2 minutes on the clock. Can be the white flag when they cross the line next time, and then it really is do or die in our little battles here.
Yeah, we're just seeing them going to be right on the back there of another MX-5, and it does look like, great work there by Darren Shannon to take the B line there. let these guys through and battle it out.
Yeah, it's always an option available to you. There is kind of only place at the top of the mountain you can easily jump out of the way. Look how much closer Mizomo is than a lap ago. He was maybe 4 or 5 car lengths back. Now it's 1 car length and closing. Foster is going to have to be a very, very tough cookie. He's going to hold on to this one. To the right-hand side goes Mizomo. Door to door, they're level. Mizomo with the nose in front for second place. He's almost clear at the braking zone, and he gets a little bit of a tap, a little bit of a rub from Foster. Mizomo is going to make the shortcut. And is that going to allow Foster to hold on to the position? It will. Is Mizomo going to be happy about that? Was his move too ambitious? He brakes with 2 tires on the grass as well. Our leaders have started the final lap. These guys have started the final lap. Stubber just over a second ahead of Jason Markowski. Fulton Penny 10 seconds down the road there. Looking pretty comfortable though for Dean Ross as Foster and Mizomo going to battle it out on the last lap.
We actually just, I was just looking at the timing screens as well. So Markowski was about 1.5 seconds, so it did look like it was all but done, but he has pulled him back and lost a bit of the pace there. So whether or not he's close enough. Oh!
And James Foster's being asked to redress that position to Mizomo.
Yeah, he just hearing from race control, he did move under brakes. So as you can see, he's just let Mizomo back through. So scanned on the last lap here of Drivers Club.
Ever the competitor, Foster was not particularly pleased with that one, but he might still have an opportunity to come back at it on the last lap though. Cameron Stubber leading. He's got more than a second now from Markowski, who has given him good chase, but Stubber just too good at the end here so far. It seems still a little bit of traffic, not a foregone conclusion. Neither is that battle between Mizomo and Foster, or the battle between Clint Shane Smith and Jonathan Bain. So through the chase comes Stubber, 1 more braking zone, and he needs to be inch perfect, make no mistakes from here to the end. And victory in Panorama Drivers Club can be his. Murray's corner. He's very ginger in defending it. He plants the power, sees the checkered flag, and he's delighted with his victory. Markowski in second, keeps it within 1 second. Fulton Penny, who could have been our winner, nurses that Porsche home. Dean Ross is going to be our TCR winner, it would look like. James Foster, another shot to the bumper of Mizomo. Mizomo, 2 laps in a row, off at the chase. He's going to rejoin and give Foster the return serve, but now Mizomo is drifting. He's... What? So Foster is ahead, coming to the line, going to cross the line in second, but is it going to stand?
Yeah, it does look like that second place there by Foster might be provisional. That will be looked into. I knew they were going to go pretty hard into the chase again, so not too sure, but we're just catching our American muscle cars. Clint Shane Smith doing pretty well there with Brian Borg just up ahead. He's fighting back there for Jonathan Ben, but looks like Jonathan Ben just a little bit too far behind there to get a move on.
He's keeping the pressure on. He's going to try, but of course, last corner, last lap. If you're Smith, you know to defend this one. He keeps it middle of the road Mustang, and he is not going to relinquish that one. So second and third does not come to blows in American Muscle, and Brian Borg doesn't put a whole lap on everyone in class, but he gets damn close, and he'll take the win in class. He'll be happy with that one. Aaron Stanley has already taken the checkered flag, I think. He's going to come around and they're all going to line up at Forest Elbow to make the jump. But you heard it, I ran out of words for that TCR battle on the final lap at the chase. Leaning on each other, you knew it was coming, but what on earth was that?
Yeah, we're just coming back around and seeing this replay. So we see Mizomo there trying to shake the tail of Foster off on the draft. So they were pretty heated battle on the last lap, so you knew that it was going to boil up into something here.
Yeah, here it is. So the replay, Mizomo defending. There's no look from Foster. Foster's deeper on the brakes, shot to the bumper. Mizomo off the track. He's like, nope, you're getting back as good as you gave. But then the hip check sends him sideways. He loses control. And Foster skates it across the gravel to finish in second. I don't know what I think about that one, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, not too sure. Just
Trying to make the jump does not work for our third place man, Fulton Penny. Cameron Stubber, more success. Jason Markowski, more success with the jump.
yeah, just seeing a few of the cars hit the jump at the moment. So yeah, probably is going to be reviewed between Foster and Mizomo there. So what a last lap battle there. We're going to see the MX-5 come through now. Whether or not it has enough speed.
Oh, nearly.
I think that's the first time I've seen a MX-5 clear it.
David Johnson not able to do so, though. We'll get to the results shortly. Dean Ross is pretty pleased with his victory. Here is how they crossed the line, with the emphasis on how they crossed the line. Some still provisional. We might need to hear from race control still, but I don't think there's much doubt on Cameron Stubber's victory in GT4. Jason Markowski pushed his car hard as well to get second, and Fulton Penny, well, I'm not sure much of the damage on that Porsche was his fault, but in the end, it did prevent him from taking the win. He gets third place. Dean Ross, your winner in TCR, and then the biggest of big question marks you'll ever see over James Foster and Simon Mizomo coming to blows in the chase, 2 corners in a row, and who deserves second on the podium is a matter for debate and interpretation still. James Ruwalt, though, gets 4th, Grant Matterford in 5th, Carl Ruwalt in 6th, Kyle Stevens 7th. Then you look to American Muscle, where Brian Borg has sealed it over Clint Shane Smith and Jonathan Bain, who had a cracking scrap as well to the end. Corey Shepard in 4th, and then Aaron Stanley by a lap in Sport Class ahead of Darren Shannon, who I have to say in 2nd place, a great recovery drive from missing about a third of the panels on that car early in the race. Finishes ahead of David Johnson, and an adventurous race for Scott Griffiths as well. And then we're kind of into cars that retired or ran into other issues in this race. Cameron Dance, Michael Skurlock, and others, Plonus, Maynard, Adam Burhop, retirement. And then all of our other retired Mustangs, which is interesting because often people retire and then get a Mustang instead of getting a Mustang and then retiring.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Sorry, Dave. I was distracted there. We did have actually a tandem jump there by Clint Shane Smith and Jonathan Ben that actually both landed. Both their Mustangs were both airborne at the same time, so I was mighty impressed by that. But yeah, again, what a great event and a really good result there. Good seeing Cameron Stubber was a bit shortchanged last month with leading the majority of PDC last month, and then unfortunately having a pretty heavy accident. So a bit of redemption there, starting second on the grid and taking out the win.
Yeah, what we'll do now is we come to the close of SimSpeed coverage of PDC 11 is we will grab a couple of words from some of our drivers in today's race. And what we'll start with is our GT4 winner, Cameron Stubber. And wow, what a race you had at the end there. I want to start with asking about almost 3 wide coming up Mountain Straight, yourself, Markowski, and Penny at the end.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Certainly a lot of risk involved there, but I think by that point it was kind of like, none of us came to come home in 2nd or 3rd place. So what was it, like 10 minutes to go or something? And not that much to lose, I guess. But just a testament to the caliber of the guys that turn up to this series every month. It's the same people every time, and there's that sort of respect between one another that we can race hard and race clean.
And little bit of a tweak, I think, to some of the fuel strategies this round. Did that adjust your attack at all?
Well, firstly, yeah, I'm glad there was an adjustment to the fuel, because I think maybe the first round the BMW came in, it might have had a little bit too much. It seemed to go really long, so that was good. I think that was some of the feedback that went into the guys when they made some recent changes to the event. But more what influenced my strategy this time was when Fulton got the discount pit stop on the virtual safety car. I kind of thought at that point that I was a goner and my race was over, but I sort of was just thinking, what can I do? We ended up like 20 seconds behind him before the final sort of pit stops, and I decided that I would just pit whenever he pit to the end, and then I would just take front tires just to try and have a little bit more grip, because I didn't think he would take tires at the next stop. And then, of course, the safety car came out, and I think I probably was in a good position, so it kind of worked out for me in the end.
And what about racing against those BMWs? Because they definitely have some long legs, but maybe the Porsche is quicker all around.
I don't think the Porsche is quick all around. The BMW definitely just walks away. I said it to myself 2 or 3 times when I was behind Jason throughout the race. I was like, yeah, I pulled out from his slipstream because there was just no point to sit there. He was still quicker, and I'd had issues in the first stint from all the fighting and drafting with the tyres being too hot and getting worn out. So I don't know if the Porsche is just quicker. I think I just race on the baseline setup, to be honest, and I always have. And it seems really fast compared to everybody else across the mountain, but it's definitely lacking in the 2 places where you should be quick to overtake. So I might look into that soon.
Well, congratulations once again. Top step off the podium at Bathurst, I'm sure, is a good feeling. We're going to see you again in a month's time, and who do you want to thank?
Absolutely. I'm going to be back. I'm going to keep coming for as long as it's on and I'm available to race on that day, because it's a really, really great event, and I think everyone should have a go at it a few times because it's really worth it. In terms of shout outs, just to my new team, to R1 SimSport. So Louise, Paula Gallen, John Peasnick, Reese Kasul. It's been awesome racing with you guys the last few weeks, and hopefully we can do some good stuff with it.
There we go. Your GT4 race winner, Cameron Stubber. We started at the top. We'll move down in that order, and I will see if we've got Dean Ross, and we do. That is our TCR winner, and this must be a pretty big moment for you, Dean, because you've gone and broken the stranglehold that James Foster has had on this class for so long.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. I was thinking that over the last couple of laps, he definitely has owned the class for however long it's been around, pretty much. But yeah, just you got caught out with that virtual safety car early, and you're still paying the price at the end there by the sounds of it.
Yeah, you can only play the cards you're dealt. And how did that virtual safety car fall for the TCR field? Because yourself and Mizomo were able to take advantage of a very cheap pit stop, but were some of those further up the road not able to?
Yes, I wasn't sure if the VSC would go long enough for us to even get in the pits when it first fell. But then once I come out of the pits, I was surprised I only lost probably about 7 seconds to James up front, which was really good. I was talking to him just at the end of the race there, and he missed it by about 100 metres. So that's pretty much what cost him the race. And then, he tried to not take tyres in the second stop, and that's why he didn't have the pace. So got pretty lucky with that safety car, and when that the actual safety car came in at the end there, I thought I was done. I thought, well, that 16-second lead I had is gone, but thankfully he didn't have the tyres to have the pace he had early on. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you right now, I think.
Always very fierce, very, very competitive and close stuff in the TCR class in this series. So, I mean, any good battles there earlier on? What about the nerves on a safety car restart?
Yeah, early on it was because I didn't do as much practice as I would have liked prior to this race, so I was just happy to sit behind James and get the toe as much as I could and sort of find the groove. And I noticed Simon had a bit of pace, so I was trying to just make sure I was far enough ahead of him so he didn't have the draft and try and stick with James as long as I could. That was sort of more of a battle on the stopwatch than door-to-door battle. But yeah, that safety car restart at the end there, I was sort of a little bit worried, but there wasn't too many Mustangs or Mazdas up the road. So once we cleared those, it was pretty good. And the two guys that got caught out a lap down in the TCR cars, they had pace as well. So yeah, it was just a matter of hitting my marks and trying to do the best laps I could and staying in front of the two behind me. So yeah.
Well, the long reign of King Foster comes to an end, and you find yourself upon the throne. Anyone you want to thank? What's the feeling?
Yeah. Thanks for obviously putting the race on. It was good. The broadcast is always good too. Thanks to Sam at DSR for doing the paints, CPR car parts, and Eucalyptus Tree Services. And yeah, thanks guys.
And that was TCR winner Dean Ross. The next class down the order is American Muscle, and Nick is with their winner, Brian Borg.
Yeah, Borgie, awesome work, mate. Your first time out there at PDC?
Yeah, it is. It's my first time, and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's right. So you're not too much of a novice when it comes to the mountain. How did you find the Mustang compared to the supercar?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a big difference in everything. There's not one thing that matches the supercar. Like we complain about the supercar having, no brakes, no aero, no nothing. Well, like what Dick Johnson said when he was driving the Mustang back in the day, we've got time for a cup of teas and one of these things.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So yes, super amount of pace there. So you're almost lapped the rest of the class there. I think the next one was Clint Shane Smith. So, any future plans here for PDC?
I really enjoy the different classes, and have to look in your mirror just to see where the faster guys are coming and where to let it go. So yeah, I definitely will be coming back. Really enjoyed it. Obviously, you enjoy it better when you win, but yeah, I did enjoy it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I could definitely see you sticking it to him in either the TCR or the GD4.
Yeah, I got to.
Yeah,
I got to try. I got to definitely get up into those cars and have a battle with them. Why not?
Yeah, for sure. Sponsors and people you'd like to thank?
Yeah, Racecraft has come along, and they've been really good to our team, and our team is growing. Also, our minor sponsors PPG and Opticoat and Isuzu Trucks, they've been good. Our team, Clint Smith, we weren't teammates in this race, but we are teammates in our V8 supercar team. He's really helped us out with doing this series, so I'd like to give a big shout out to him.
Yeah, for sure. All right, mate. Well, I reckon you've earned a couple of beers. Have a good afternoon and congratulations.
Thanks for the broadcast, guys.
So the American Muscle winner, Brian Borg, near enough on debut in series, stomping his authority on that class by nearly a lap. For the sport class, unfortunately, I do not see Aaron Stanley or anyone from that class. But Aaron Stanley, also a driver, exerting authority over their class. And once again, keeping the streak of Fitstye winners in sport class. But that is all she wrote from Mount Panorama, Panorama Drivers Club, round 11, PDC 11. Had an absolute sting in the tail there. It was great racing all the way through. And I love hearing from our drivers the respect they have for each other, their enjoyment of the competition, and the passion everyone has for racing at Mount Panorama. We're going to do it all again in a month's time, and you can go to driversclub.net.au if you want to sign up, if you want to join this great racing and great community, and of course be on a beautiful SimSpeed TV broadcast. And from SimSpeed TV, Jay Kennedy's been our producer. I've been David Haynes. Alongside me has been Nick Scaragew, and I didn't even have to read it off the card this time. We'll see you again next month. And of course, keep up to date with all of the broadcasts happening almost every night of the week with SimSpeed TV. Until next time, stay well. We'll see you around.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get involved.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?